Do you really believe that garbage?
It's not about believing, it's a matter of fact.
So you believe...
Well, nobody else could make a decision but me because I was the president, and the final decision comes to the president.
You know, it's easy enough for a Monday morning quarterback to say what the coach should have done after the game's over. But when the decision is up before you, and on my desk I have a motto which says the buck stops here, the decision has to be made.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
And I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes, but in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I could say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
President?
Yep.
Mr. President, I want to raise an issue that I think you've been lurking out there for 2 or 3 weeks and cast it specifically in national security terms. You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you retired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale. I recall yet that President Kennedy had to go for days on end with very little sleep during the Cuba Missile Crisis. Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
And I'm the one who will not raise taxes. My opponent now says he'll raise them as a last resort or a third resort. But when a politician talks like that, you know that's one resort he'll be checking into. And my opponent won't rule out raising taxes, but I will, and the Congress will push me to raise taxes, and I'll say no. And they'll push, and I'll say no. And they'll push again, and I'll say to them, read my lips. No new taxes.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
You're full of shit.
All right, thank you.
No, shush. Shush.
For 3 years, we heard it every day, that Joe Biden and Donald Trump were the oldest candidates ever. Republicans made the excuse that Biden was 3 years older, and the media gave it a pass. Their breathless coverage of Biden's age, while ignoring Trump's decline, pretended Trump wasn't slurring his speech.
We want a landslide that's
confusing people,
including Obama. I'll tell you what.
Telling weird, wandering stories.
By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
Now, there's no excuse. There's only one person in this race now with mental problems. One person with memory problems. One person feeling the icy hand of death from old age creeping closer. One person who knows the clock is running out. And that's old Donald Trump. Weak, impotent, forgetful, mentally declining, fast. He'd be 83 by the end of his term. If he's senile now, he'll be dangerous by then.
MD20.
Hey,
Peace. What's going on? What's happening? MD's Thought Box. What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody had a wonderful day. Wonderful day. I hope you was able to spend time with family and friends. I'm going to ask you the last question. Who are you?
What you mean, who am I?
To whom in which I'm speaking with right now.
You gonna turn around and tell that man,
Red alert. All hands stand.
now you want to play victim. You know what you done.
I'm no victim. I ain't no victim at all.
Warning.
No,
I know everything I said. I take.
I know you're not no victim.
Warning. Nigga babble detected.
No, you're not no victim because you done what you done. You used that man's channel to get at me.
System overload.
We gone.
What I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
But to any event, peace. What's up? Can everybody hear me out there in YouTube land? Can everybody hear me? You know what I'm saying? Because we still gonna get it in. We still gonna get it in for today's topic. We definitely gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody give me a green light. You know what I'm saying? As you can see, I'm in the thought box. You know what I'm saying? Now, I will say, as always, man, the doors of the church for MD's Thought Box Live is open.
MD 20.
In any country, prison is where society sends its failures. But in this country, society itself is failing.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you. We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated. Look at you crazy.
Grab him by the pussy.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Shut your mouth, because you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I did.
Hold it, tough guy. I'm not afraid of physical. Hold it.
Don't sit there and tell me I'm not.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Stand back and stand by.
Last thing was Olivia Gondak. It says that I wanted to eat her pussy. Olivia Gondak. I've never said that in my life tour. I would never do that. I'm happily married. I've got more than enough to eat at home. Thank you very much.
You got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Okay. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. We now have a gun on every table. We're ready to start shooting.
By the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
Sarcastically.
That was...
Even though they're trying to impeach the son of a bitch. Can you believe that? You believe that? That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this
I'd like to
investigation?
punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
If I may ask
Peter,
one
go
other
ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, I was going to ask one other.
I don't want reality. I'm asking the question, which one is better? That's exactly what it is.
Got it on tape.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse.
How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen?
If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution, every Poland?
No, sit down.
Sorry, Eric.
Sit down. Okay, you.
You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your.
I ain't talking politics, I'm talking life.
I ain't talking politics, I'm talking life.
America in 1968, a turbulent time. Riots and social unrest in some of our big cities. Massive protests against U.S. involvement in the war in Southeast Asia. Truly a nation divided. It was a presidential election year, and many believed that incumbent President Lyndon Johnson would run again.
Some observers say this visit marks the beginning of the 1968 presidential campaign.
But on March 31st, 1968, just a few months before the Democratic convention, Johnson dropped out of the race.
I shall not seek, and I will not accept the nomination of my party for another term as your president.
Johnson likely knew he would be defeated in the November election. Anti-war candidate Eugene McCarthy, a Democrat, had won the New Hampshire primary, and Robert F. Kennedy Sr. was gaining ground in his bid for the Democratic nomination.
He's saying now in his own inimitable way, vote Democratic.
But Johnson endorsed his vice president, Hubert Humphrey.
I choose not simply to run for president. I seek to lead a great nation. So this is the message that I shall take to the people, and I ask you to stand with me. And to all of my fellow Democrats now who have labored hard and openly this week at the difficult and sometimes frustrating work of democracy, I pledge myself to that task of leading the Democratic Party to victory in November. I say to this great convention tonight and to this great nation of ours, I am ready to lead our country.
Hubert Humphrey, who went on to win a contentious nomination, then faced Republican Richard Nixon. Nixon ran a campaign tying Humphrey to the troubled times.
Dissent is a necessary ingredient of change. But in a system of government that provides for peaceful change, there is no cause that justifies resort to violence. So I pledge to you, we shall have order in the United States.
On election night 1968, Nixon defeated Humphrey.
Nixon has, with Illinois' projection in his favor, 287 electoral votes, and that elects him President of the United States.
America's future under challenge right here at home, with our hopes and the world's hopes for peace and the balance every day. I do not believe that I should devote an hour or a day of my time to any personal partisan causes or to any duties other than the awesome duties of this office, the presidency of your country. Accordingly, I shall not seek and I will not accept the nomination of my party for another term as your president. But let men everywhere know, however, that a strong and a confident and a vigilant America stands ready tonight to seek an honorable peace and stands ready tonight to defend an honored cause, whatever the price, whatever the burden, whatever the sacrifice that duty may require. Thank you for listening. Good night, and God bless all of you.
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office. In this sacred space, I'm surrounded by portraits of extraordinary American presidents. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. It's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. There's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now.
The hour was 9 p.m., March 31st, 1968, the last time Americans looked to their televisions to learn the president would not seek re-election. Then, as now, the times were turbulent, marked by war and riven with political unrest. President Johnson, a lion of the Senate, a former vice president, facing questions from the nation and within his own heart about his health and ability to lead, opted to step aside. By the time Democrats descended on a hotly contested convention in the turbulent summer of 1968 in Chicago, Martin Luther King Jr. was dead. Robert F. Kennedy dead as well. Chaos was all around. Now, once more, a president has looked out upon his nation and told his fellow Americans the hour had come. Yes, the times are different, but the stakes are no less high. And over the next 100-plus days, our nation will grapple with uncertainty anew and determine the course of history we share.
Tested many times this past year.
Revolt clawed at Lyndon Johnson early in 1968, an unpopular incumbent targeted by fellow Democrats. Sound familiar?
2024 is very reminiscent of 1968 for a variety of reasons.
Historian Mark Updegrove is president and CEO of the LBJ Foundation. We spoke about striking parallels between Presidents Johnson and Biden, and between 1968's America and today's.
Mood of the country. Divided, tempestuous, a lot of extreme rhetoric. We had the same thing in 1968, and that we were being shaken to our very foundations.
Especially divisive then, Vietnam, America's sons and daughters dying in Southeast Asia. CBS News' Walter Cronkite was a turning point.
It seems now more certain than ever that the bloody experience of Vietnam is to end in a stalemate.
Johnson believed losing Cronkite and Vietnam meant his re-election was also unwinnable. In March 1968, he quit the race. That decision, like President Biden's to step aside, was more than political. There were health concerns.
LBJ truly believed that he might jeopardize the country because his heart might fail.
But Democrats have to wonder whether 1968 is also a cautionary tale. In the race to keep the Oval Office, look at what happened once LBJ stepped aside.
First, a double tragedy.
Memphis today is officially in mourning.
Martin Luther King murdered in Memphis. Robert Kennedy.
And now it's on to Chicago, and let's win there. Thank you, guys.
Gunned down in a Los Angeles hotel kitchen.
We can achieve nothing by lawlessness and divisiveness.
When Butler, Pennsylvania happened, did you think to yourself, another similarity?
Without question. Just as in 1968, you had the feeling that anything could happen next.
Like Chicago's 1968 Democratic National Convention. Outside, mayhem. Inside, rancor.
But don't push me, take your hands off of me.
Divided delegates nominated Hubert Humphrey, LBJ's vice president. Mr. Biden has endorsed his VP, Kamala Harris.
I seek to lead a great nation.
Humphrey, wounded by chaos, lost in November to Richard Nixon.
Which of the parallels resonates most with you?
What our democracy looks like today, but we should also remember that we came out of 1968 ultimately a stronger, better nation.
A nation again shocked by a sitting president feeling scorned, bowing out.
All right, there we go. This is Tuesday, August 13th, and we're back for another edition of Tape Fist Politics, TFP Tuesday. I'm back after a week of battling COVID, back on my feet again, trying to survive in these streets. What we got here is the world's most dangerous political panel, and I'm joined with MD20. What's going on, MD?
Peace. What's going on? What's happening?
All right. Also on the panel, of course, we got Ricardo. Ricardo, what's going on?
I'm good, but you lead me into this hole, so I got to sing this whole thing. I'm back on my feet again. On my feet again. I'm sorry. What's his name? That guy with the big old hair in the back of the day. Is it Bolton? Not Bolton, is it? Michael Bolton? Something like that? I can't remember.
Yep, probably.
Huh?
Probably.
Yeah. But glad to see you back, Van Cat. Glad to see you defeat that disgusting ass pandemic related what you call it? Killer. So it's good to see you up here doing your thing, man. Glad to see you back.
All right, thank you, Ricardo. And of course, we got the ODB of the crew. We got Mr. Mike is right. What's going on, Mike?
First of all, I do enjoy being called ODB. That's my favorite member of Wu-Tang. Thank you. Secondly, I tried to find the Morse code for others, but I couldn't, so I just picked that. And I didn't know my twin could sing. Go ahead, twin. I hear you. I got you on backup next time.
Well, it's great to have you back on the panel.
Oh, and I'm happy that my my backstage maestro is back to full health. Welcome back, kind sir. We are thankful that you are back up and running. You were missed. There is nobody that chuckles at my foolishness like you.
Oh, we appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir. So this week, we're going into 1968, the comparison of 1968 to today, 2024. As we saw in the video package just now, there were plenty of similarities. I mean, in 1968, of course, Bobby Kennedy was shot. Well, not shot. He was killed, really, assassinated. We had Donald Trump this year. He was attempted assassination, but did not follow through. The whole war protests, where we had Vietnam versus what's going on in Gaza. You have a Democratic president who used to also be a vice president in both cases, LBJ and Biden stepping down. So it's very eerily similar. I'll go to Mike first. Mike, what do you think about? What do you think about the parallels of 2024 versus 1968?
First off, I am totally unprepared. I did not know I'd be going first. Usually, our fearless leader likes to let everybody else eat all the meat off the bone. Pause before he comes to me. But I'll say this: number one, I don't think it's as similar because I think this one was fake as hell.
Facts.
As hell.
Elaborate, sir. Elaborate, sir.
I still refuse to believe that there are people in the world whose job it is to protect people, and they wouldn't think to, I don't know, put a guy on the only high place in the 100-something yards. Like, I'm flabbergasted. It would be my 10-year-old daughter would go, shouldn't someone be over there, Daddy? I'd be like, yes, you would think. You would think. Don't get it. I think the camera people were also ready and placed to take pictures that made him look so red-sided. Oh, make sure the red tie flaps in the wind as he pulls up the imaginary flag like he's in Iwo Jima. And I'm sorry. I know we're not supposed to be going back. I apologize. But I think we're disrespecting actual good presidents by comparing this guy or anything that has occurred to him with them. He disgusts me. I still think he's going to win, but there is never in my life has Mike wanted to be wrong than this. Oh my gosh.
So you still feel he's going to win, even with all the occurrences that have happened since Biden stepping down?
See, here's the problem. All the people, and thank you for the follow-up, I appreciate that. All the people that care about policies and care about what people do and morality and things that actually make sense, they're on this show. That's it. It's just us. It's just us. Nobody else cares. The red side, they don't care. What do you say? I could shoot somebody in the middle of the street. Thank you, Bo. What? Thank you, Bo. I done got both brothers. Come on the team, homeboy. That's what I'm talking about. VP and secretary. It makes all the people that care are here listening to us and watching us and on the show. That's it. Everybody else in the world, the red side, the man said he could kill someone in the middle of the street and still win. And then he did everything he could to be as close as that, and he's still winning. He's still doing his thing. I know people are like, oh, look at the polls. I guarantee you everybody on this show has a story about how polls are trash. Everybody, no matter who it is, no matter what you think, polls ain't nothing. Because the majority of people that know they're going to vote for Trump and they're not going to admit they're going to vote for Trump, they be in them polls. They're in them polls. The people that say, I'm an independent, they're not. They know what they're doing. They know what they're voting for. And let me not just leave it to the red side. The blue side, they're just as moronic. Half of them couldn't stand Kamala 2 weeks ago. Now all of a sudden, she this and that. A month ago, nobody took it upon themselves to actually dig deep into her at all. She was a forgotten person. And now all of a sudden, all the things that were said about her that made her denigrated in front of the world, now everybody's doing their research and they're doing their deep digging. Why wasn't this happening before she was a vice presidential candidate? Why wasn't this happening when she was running for vice president? Why didn't it? Because nobody cares. Everybody puts on the front that they give a damn, because that's what they think they're supposed to do, but they don't. Everyone has made their mind up, MD included. Everybody knows who they're voting for, me included. Everybody knows who they'll never vote for, Ricardo included. And even though people care in their hearts and they think the right thing to do is to put your best foot forward, they know what they're going to do when they get in that ballot box. And that is Maestro extraordinaire. He knows too.
I mean, I agree with a lot of what you're saying to an extent, and I'm glad you're saying what you're saying because those words need to be said. I don't fully agree with the sentiments too much because I was looking at a report the other day, and it helped me to understand better what was going on this whole time. You know, Joe Biden had been, yeah, obviously he's been having issues from before 2020. And behind the scenes, they saw all the horror and they covered it up. That's what they did. Why the hell they did it, I don't know. I think I disagree with it. However, the part of the plan was to keep Kamala Harris not overshining Joe Biden. That's why she was put to the backside of things. That's why she wasn't seen as much. And that started to click with me. I started understanding, okay, because the moment around just before Biden stepped down, she went out and did some like speeches and rallies and whatnot. And immediately she was, boom, on her game, sounding energetic, sounding right, saying the right things and having a nice flow there. And I'm like, well, if this lady was able to do this all the time, why was she not here? But they didn't want her to upstage or make Biden look worse than what he was. So that made me get some pause.
Let me ask you a question, big dog.
Yeah.
Let's say you're training me to be the new behind the scenes producer extraordinaire, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you want everyone that watches all our shows that are really, really confident and trusting in your skills to believe in me when you're gone, right?
Right.
Do you think it would make more sense to hide me in the background or for you personally to sing my praises so when you're gone, I don't look like some Johnny come lately replacement?
Well, the problem with that, Mike, is if I have you on leash, you'll probably make me look silly as hell. And now I'm still running to try to become president here or try to do whatever I'm doing.
But you've
I'm
already
still
done
in
it,
that
sir.
element. Huh?
You've already done it. You're already the producer extraordinaire. There's no way,
Yeah,
there's
but
nothing I can do. And if you're the one who does it, how do you look silly? If you're going, hey, I want everyone to know this production was by Mike by himself. I taught him everything he knows, and he is out here killing it. To let him know, Mike. And I'm like, yeah, man, Van Cat taught me how to do this on InShot, and I was doing this and doing that. Van Cat, you the man. Thank you so much. How does that make you look foolish?
because it would have only worked if Biden would have done what he originally said he was going to do, which was the one term and then bow out. He wasn't doing that. He was going for another term, and he was in the midst of an election that, he was starting to lose there. So it would be bad for your second in command to look really good and really competent, and you're here bumbling and fumbling, and what the hell is going on?
I'll let you have that, but I believe that anybody who has strong people behind them do nothing but look smart for having smart people behind them. But I don't want to take too much of your time. Go right ahead, sir.
I agree with that. But we're all not the same. Some people have their own selfish desires. Some people have their own egos. I think that the people around you, if they do good, you are good. But other people don't look at it like that. They look at it in very egotistical ways, and that's something you can't account for. That's just humans being trash bag humans of the week.
Hey, and tell the truth. You agree with me. You agree with everything I said. You didn't really say anything you disagree with.
I know where you're coming from, sir. I totally get it. I totally get it. So let's go to Ricardo. Ricardo, what do you think about the parallels of 1968 to 2024?
Yeah, I mean, it's eerily similar, but like my twin has said just now, the only difference is for me, and I'm usually not one to like be like, oh well, I feel like there's something up. It was just very common sense. Like this was very staged with this whole thing leading up to the Republican convention. It just seemed very forced and staged. And again, my favorite words to use is conveniently timed. Like how odd it was that all of a sudden, lo and behold, that Sunday he got shot. Supposedly, and we're going to say supposedly here because, or allegedly, because even though we see images, he claimed he got shot, but based on the hearings that we were hearing from the CIA and the FBI and all of them, they don't know specifically what it was that was shot at him with, and based on this stupid looking ear pads that he was wearing, look like goddamn ear pads that was so exaggerated. It's basically, if you look at his ears now, it's pretty much healed because it's cartilage, right? So your ears is pretty much, if most of you don't know, based on what I remember from science class, it's kind of like shark's skin. Like if you break a shark's skin, it's cartilage. It's kind of similar to our ears. Is how their skin are in terms of similarity. So for him to say he got shot, and if it was really permanently damaged, you wouldn't see a healed over ear so quick. So if we're looking at it, it's about almost 3-4 weeks now. And he said that he claimed that he got shot. But of course, everything that Trump says is exaggerated and basically lies. So call me naive. It's never believable. It just seems so like staged and well put together, and it's like, oh my god, everybody's gonna feel sorry for me, woe is me. But what was so ironically funny about all of this is that in that whole span of time, and like MD, the political prophet, and one of the probably the most observant people in politics that I know of, mentioned was that if this was a case where Joe might have pulled off one of the greatest upsets of all time, because not too long after that whole thing with them in the convention, Joe says, oh, I'm gonna step down. And it's like, oh snap, wait, what? So they just scrambled and they couldn't figure out what to do next, because they were using Joe as a punch what do you call that thing in Spanish where the piñata? That's basically what they were doing. Oh, Sleepy Joe, Brandon, all this crap. And so when Joe says, I'm just going to gracefully step aside, they didn't have a clue what to do. I'm like, how do you not have a plan B? Because you pretty much were seeing how old and senile he was, but he stepped aside. And here comes Kamala to the forefront. And now it's like they're pivoting, there's this and all of that. I will say one thing though, twin, even though you don't think that she could pull it off, I'm gonna tell you how she'll pull it off. And if I'm using my probabilities from 2008, I'm gonna say how. It's the fact that he keeps using divisive language when it comes to people who are in her stage, like in I'm trying to word this properly. If you're biracial, you can't use that as a pivot. Like in terms of questioning someone's race and gender and ethnicity, it's a very slippery slope. And even if people are not saying it out loud, the biracial crowd is one of the crowds you don't want to alienate in this country when it comes to voting. So what he's basically going to do is push them straight towards her anyways. Even if they didn't like her, if they didn't want to vote for her, they're going to go towards her direction, because again, they're going to look at it like, okay, well, I'm mixed, I'm biracial, I'm such and such, I'm in this category. I could be half Indian, I could be half black, I could be this. Who's to say when I'm trying to do whatnot, it's going to be in this, it's almost similar. Now, that's the same issue that, and again, most people don't even mention this, was what Obama went through in 2008, where people were like, and I was one of those people, very skeptical. I didn't really like Obama in the beginning stages. But as politics progressed, you kind of get a feel of, all right, well, this is all a momentum here. We're probably never going to see this again. And they end up voting. It's almost really similar to Obama. The only difference is the Democrats out loud didn't really want Kamala as much as I hate to say it too, they didn't really want her. I don't know what it is, if there's something there where they didn't see it possible. I mean, again, she's VP. She could have been president at any given moment, considering Joe could have done surgery or whatnot. But to contrast from the old 60s to now, it's really similar, but not quite, because again, like my twin said, it's just too conveniently time and stage. But I just find it ironically funny that he got upstage anyways, because Joe was like, screw him, a step down. And once he stepped down, here comes ushering in a new era of Kamala and the Kamalats. And we'll see how well they do. I mean, between now and November, anything can happen. I mean, the debates is going to decide and make the decision for us in terms of how people are going to vote. But based on the ramblings and the senileness of what I see from Trump, I mean, it's going to take a lot for him to win, but that's me.
Hey, twin, you remember when they came? It was Nikki Haley they were saying was Native American, right?
They said that I didn't even know until MD brought it to my attention, but this whole time she's actually Indian, like full. Her parents are from India, but she just decides she's all white, so she never claimed it. She never made.
But Trump made fun of her, right?
He did. He said that she's like he couldn't come out and say it, full fledged, because it's like one of those things. But I think he did.
Did he call her Pocahontas?
No, that was what's the
No, he called her by her real name, which is Nimrata.
There you go.
Okay.
We call Warren. Warren was Pocahontas because she claims she's associated with Pocahontas on her father removed side, some crap. That's what
you remember the outrage? No, you don't. Because they don't care.
I remember the outrage.
No, you don't. It never happened.
Yes, I do.
The outrage was two people in the media who were like, I can't believe he did this. And everybody else was like, nah, whatever. But I'll shut up.
All right. So before we get to MD, real quick. So on today's docket, we're going to cover Trump Twitter failure. We're going to look at some polling. We're going to do an update on one of Mike's stories that he suggested we covered a few weeks back. Update on Christopher Dunn being freed out of prison after about 30 some odd years. So we got a lot to run down today too. So MD, what are your thoughts here on 1968, 2024?
All right, so well, let's get in the time machine. Let's get in the phone booth. We're gonna take a trip back in time. So
Can it be a DeLorean?
Nah, this Bill and Ted.
All right.
So again, it's eerie, like you said, Venkat, of what's going on right now. Just not from the correlation of the presidential election, but the actors involved in it. So of course, everybody knows LBJ. He dropped out of the race because of what was going on in Vietnam. He knew that the tensions were so high from a democratic civil standpoint that it was no way that he was going to be able to win. He knew it. That was the problem in and of itself. He basically threw Hubert Humphrey to the hyenas. Now, from the standpoint of like the electorate, they went with RFK, obviously. RFK gets assassinated. If we look at the comparisons from then to now, the climate is still volatile, but of course we don't have any assassinations that are taking place here. But the climate is there. Well, I mean, even with that, I wouldn't necessarily consider the Trump attempted assassination I guess you would say a factor within the political climate right now, as opposed to what it was back then, based on the fact that you had a whole group of people that were pushing civil rights legislation that was basically going to steer how the society moved. You don't need Trump for that. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. The correlation is not with the civil unrest between the Republicans. The correlation is between the people that are behind the scenes actually moving the puppet, which is Trump. Same with 1968. When you had Hubert Humphrey, RFK, and you had Eugene McCarthy, Eugene McCarthy was the staunch anti-Vietnam candidate. Yet he didn't get enough delegates. Why? Because what was called the New Left back then. Now this goes to the lefty loonies. This is the comparison. The lefty loonies back then were so out of touch politically that they let that happen. I'm talking about the SDS, the Students for a Democratic Society. I'm talking about the NFA, the National Feminist Association. Hell, the Black Panthers, the White Panthers. These people weren't politically astute enough to understand what it was. That's why Nixon got elected. Nixon was not a smart person. He was a dumbass. Who was pushing Nixon? People like Barry Goldwater. Barry Goldwater solidified the framework, which is now modern conservatism today. Nixon, law and order, blah, 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 all that. That wasn't, Nixon didn't know nothing about that. It was Barry Goldwater. It was Jerry Falwell later on with the what is it called, moral majority. Then it was Lee Atwater that solidified the Southern strategy with the Nixon campaign. This is the stuff that ultimately happened because of the complicity of what was called the New Left at that particular time. They failed. They failed in understanding what the factors were in changing this civil society post Civil Rights Act 1964. They failed. That's why you got the change of what we now call conservatism. What else happened back then? Going back to Barry Goldwater again. Barry Goldwater saw, if I could see it in a football term, he saw the hole and ran through it. He saw with the tensions that the Democrats and the electorate had, he was able to confide in Nixon that, hey, we got this based on the volatile nature of what the Democrats are here and now. So he used the Southern strategy to implement populism, i.e. Donald Trump. Now, here's one thing, that's another comparison. Third party candidate. We got RFK Jr. right now. A lot of people don't talk about it. In 1968, we had another third party candidate that got over 13% of the vote. Who was that? George Wallace, former governor of Alabama. He ran as an independent. Everybody know it. Segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. He got 13% of the vote. That like that ain't nothing to sniff at. You know what I'm saying? So again, with all that, it culminated into this new rise of conservatism that we see today, based on law and order, like Nixon said, based on the moral majority, like Jerry Falwell said, and based off populism, like George Wallace said. You see all that nicely wrapped in a gift box today in 2024 in the Republican Party. And that's just what it is. That's the eerie part about it. And you know, I will say this last thing. I have optimism based on the fact that I don't see the complicity in which the New Left had back then that allowed all that stuff to happen. With Kamala Harris, there's been a resurgence of enthusiasm as it pertains to political action. I think that's the difference between 1968 and 2024. I don't think that the new batch of liberals today they won't let that happen, because first of all, they're politically astute enough to understand the implications of it, and they're not basing their ideologies on some type of Marxist socialist type ideology. The left today is more centered than ever before. So to me, that's a good thing because it allows bipartisanship. So that's my optimism, but the comparison is eerie, just like you said, Venkat.
So MD, a lot of times when we talk about 1968 and 2024, they often go to the LBJ and Biden comparison. Hardly ever do you hear about the Trump and Nixon comparison.
Yeah, they were both dumb as hell.
Yeah, exactly. Two very dangerous presidents, two presidents that really brought a lot of shame to the presidency and the country. The only thing I'll say is Nixon is probably is the better candidate. At least Nixon did a few little things here and there, but oh man, like that. That's something that needs to be
Barry
looked at.
Barry Goldwater was pulling the strings still, yet and still. You could say, yeah, Nixon was probably the smarter of the two, but that ain't saying much. Nixon didn't have no policy at all.
Hey,
Nixon was getting ran by the new wave conservatives. That's just a fact. Just like today, Trump don't have no policy. Trump is being ran by Kevin Roberts, Stephen Miller, and the Heritage Foundation. Point blank, period. New wave of conservatism.
Yeah,
isn't that how they all are? Because wasn't it? It used to be the Koch brothers that ran them. Then it was that what's that vice president for W? That was the demon.
Oh, you're talking about Cheney.
Yeah, they're all ran by some evil.
The man that shot his friend in the face and then had his friend apologize for being shot in the face.
Bro. Every time I see him, I'm telling you, he is a demon. When he was doing, it was him and the guy that was running with the dorky candidate when the other VP, and he said something to him. Look it up if y'all don't believe me. It was a vice presidential debate, and he said, "Oh, it's nice to I heard your daughter, who's a lesbian, came out and she's thinking about getting married or something like that. I hope she's having a good day." And he gave him a look. I saw fire in his eyes, bro. Bro, I've never forgotten it. Every day I saw that, I was like, I want no smoke with that man. It was like when Al Pacino was on the train on Devil's what's that movie called?
Devil's Advocate?
Was it Devil's something like that?
Devil's Advocate.
Devil's Advocate?
I think so.
Yeah, with Pacino and Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, and he looked at that dude and said, "Your wife's at home with Julio." Da-da-da-da. I saw the same devil in Cheney's eyes, and I've wanted no smoke with him ever since. And they're all behind the scenes, evil, demonic people that are, and I gotta stop saying demon, but I'm saying they're all behind the scenes.
Oh, they're demon.
Come on, bro. They just pushing. Today it's just the Heritage Foundation today. It's just all they do is move on. Roe moved out the way and let these new people come through. That's all it is.
Well, I agree with that, but what I'm saying is that this all started in 1968, basically. You know what I mean? It started to where it was political act. Now, you mentioned the Koch brothers. A lot of people don't know Koch brothers are ideologically libertarian. They put money on both sides for their own fulfillment. So I understand that, but from a governmental aspect, with think tanks like Heritage Foundation, with the senator and House caucuses of the 1970s and 80s, those are the people that was actually running stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I get you from that point, but from a governmental aspect, it was people like Barry Goldwater, Lee Atwater, and so on and so forth. And if you go back modern, since you said like Bush, people like Karl Rove, like these are the people that was instrumental behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying?
I said roll first.
Yeah. I'm agreeing with you.
No, because you're smarter than me, and I'm trying to battle you. So I want people to know I said
okay. You better stop with that crap, Mike.
He's politically smarter than me. I can admit it. Mike is right. I ain't gonna lie to myself.
Yeah, but that's all I got on that. Like I said, eerie. It's eerie. Even down to the third candidate.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a very odd thing. It's going to be great to see, after we're done with this election cycle, where it goes from here. We have been pushing back. This show has been pushed back for at least a month. Every week something was happening, and this show just kept getting pushed back. But it's great that it's on this week, because next week is the actual Democratic convention for 2024. So it's right on time. So we've been trying to get this show going, and I guess this was the best time to do it. Now, it's speaking with politics and elections that are coming up. I know here in Florida, we have early voting and ballots. You can vote in the mail. I just voted in the mail on different things. But one of the things I'm looking at is the Senate. The Senate, for the Democratic primary, there's like 4 candidates trying to vie for the right to represent the Democratic side in Florida to go up against, oh my God, what's Rick Scott. Rick Scott, the alien-looking Republican that claims Florida, the cheat from the hospitals he used to own, and cheated out the government out of millions and millions of dollars, but for some reason was able to serve some terms as governor, and now he's a sitting senator. I don't know how that happens. So we have 4 candidates in the state of Florida vying to go after Rick Scott this November. I want to show a little news clip or article here, video of the candidates, and then we'll be back with more. Give me 1 second. I'm going to cue that up now.
The most closely watched Senate races this fall. 4 Democrats are running to unseat the incumbent Republican Rick Scott, and one former Congresswoman is currently having the edge there. Local 10's Glenna Milberg has more on the primary races. She's live for us right now in Pinecrest. Glenna?
And that would be Debbie Mucarsel Powell, Democrat, who is this week launching a Spanish language radio blitz against Rick Scott, even though technically she is not yet the Democratic candidate in that race. She's got a primary. She was headed to a phone banking today, and we caught up with her as she headed out.
I'm an immigrant, a Latina, a mother.
The Senate campaign launched a year ago Telegraph, the Hispanic voter focus.
Let's have a debate in Spanish.
Democrat Debbie Mucarsel Powell is launching a 6-figure radio ad buy this week, her most expensive so far, taking on incumbent Republican Senator Rick Scott in the conservative Hispanic community that has supported and endorsed him.
I'm pretty well known in Florida.
Senator for almost 6 years, Florida governor for 8 before that.
Thank you.
Scott has the money to make sure he continues to be well known. Mucarsel Powell acknowledges she has that work to do.
You really haven't gotten that name recognition statewide yet.
So I have to tell you that in many ways, the fact that people in Florida know Rick Scott has actually hurt Rick Scott because they know who he is.
They're always taking away religious freedom and everything.
Polls show the powerful Senate incumbent has little to be concerned about against his Republican primary opponents, John Columbus and Keith Gross. By funding and by polling, Mucarsel Powell currently leads 3 Democratic opponents. AFL-CIO endorsed Navy vet and IT exec Stanley Campbell, Army vet Rod Joseph, and former 90s state rep Brian Rush.
I don't underestimate anything or anyone.
DMP and Rick Scott could not be more different on pick a national issue. The two of them, though, if they should both be in this race together, will be focusing their messages about all of that very heavily on a Hispanic voter audience. I'm Glenna Milberg, live in Pinecrest today, Local 10 News.
Always interesting. Thank you so much, Glenna.
All right, so there it is. So you see on the screen that they had 4 candidates, and Debbie Powell, she ultimately is the one I voted for. I sent my ballot off in the mail last week, and next week, Tuesday, the August 20th. That's when that primary will go down, and that's the last day you have to vote. So I just wanted to bring some attention to this. Now, just to understand who some of these candidates are that are vying to run against Rick Scott, here's Debbie Powell's campaign video here. Take a look.
Rick Scott.
Rick Scott. He'd strip away women's rights with a national abortion ban. He cuts taxes for himself, but he'd raise them on you. He wrote the plan that could take away the Social Security and Medicare you worked and paid for. And he's gotten tens of millions of dollars richer, while so-called serving the people. But our costs for prescriptions, health insurance, homeowners insurance have all gone up. But what do we expect from the CEO of a company that made a fortune robbing Medicare? Ya no más. I'm ready to do something about it. I'm an immigrant, a Latina, a mother, and we made history together when I became the first South American immigrant ever elected to Congress. I've already fought guys like Rick Scott and beat them. I wrote the bill to expand Medicare, not take it away, because I know my mom and so many others depend on it. I lost my own father to gun violence. That's why I fight every day to keep our children and our community safe. And I'm not afraid to take on Rick Scott or anyone that doesn't put Florida first. I worked for minimum wage in a donut shop, so I know how great this country is and how great it can be. And that's why I won't sit here and do nothing while Rick Scott gets rich, abusing our government, taking our rights, raising our costs, and destroying what makes it great. The ability for any one of us, no matter where we come from, even a minimum wage earning South American immigrant, to reach our dreams if we work for them. My name is Debbie Mucarcel Powell. They call me DMP, which stands for Don't Mess with My People. And that means you, Rick Scott. That's why I'm running for Senate.
All right, so there's Debbie's campaign video there, and she's running for the Senate on the Democratic side. She's running up against other candidates. One of the other candidates that she's running up against, his name is, oh God, I just lost it. Stanley Campbell. Stanley Campbell is a black man that's running in this election. There's actually two black men running. Rod Joseph is another one, and then there's a white gentleman named Brian Campbell. I'm sorry, Brian Hush. So it's different now. Just to answer Ricardo's question, if I voted for Gregory Tony, that might be because you're in a different area district. He wasn't on my ballot. That wasn't on my ballot. I'm in West Palm Beach, so yeah, I don't recall having him on my ballot. But I want to say, Ricardo, did you already vote yet? And did you vote for the Senate, or are you going to vote for the Senate primary in Florida?
Well, sir, they did not send me anything in my mail because, unfortunately, I put independent on my electoral ballot thingy. So, as a result, I don't get none of those stuff that they send to you guys, which are like in the Democratic and Republican framework. Which isn't that interesting? Because I thought they would send me stuff. I think my wife is the only one that I see with stuff on pertaining to voting. So I feel some type of way. But with that being stated, if I had the option to vote, there would be quite a few things that I'll be voting for, quite a few people. Again, I think it's either MD had mentioned this or somebody else on the panel. It seems to me that the Democratic Party has a hard push. And then again, it wouldn't surprise me because Broward County is probably, if not the largest sector in terms of the Democrats voting in election here in South Florida. You would think it would be Miami-Dade, but I think Miami-Dade is more Republican red-led because of on account of there's quite a few things that the Republicans are able to accomplish in Dade. But I think because you are in West Palm Beach more, you wouldn't have been able to. But if you're not familiar with Gregory Tony, for all you out there, he was selected by our governor, DeSantis, in the time when he was coming in, and all of a sudden there's an issue with him, being that I guess he lied on his application form or something along the lines where he wasn't lying, but he wasn't really truthful either. So he kind of was stuck in the middle somewhere. So now they're trying to oust him out of his position. But the thing that killed me is that he's been doing a superb job here in Broward County. When they had that shooting, he was the one that jumped into the fray of things and was able to get things done. But they still don't want him in power, so, it's one of them things. But if I had a choice to vote, I think I would have been able to vote for him. I don't see an issue with him. But then again, if you lied, I mean, fair is fair. You shouldn't really be in your position. But blame DeSantis for that. Think about it this way, Venkat. Had you had the choice between choosing between DeSantis and Gillum, would you have chose Gillum? Considering the facts.
I would have chose Gillum.
You would have?
I voted for him.
No. The minute
I voted for him.
There's no way I'm voting for this dude. It just seems so, and this is the same issue I faced with Kamala. It's like they're forcing this. It's like, oh, he's black, so you gotta vote for him. Oh, he went to a HBCU. And I'm like, there's something about this guy I just can't put my finger on. Lo and behold, after the fact, we found out all these stories about him. And I was like, thank God he was not chosen as governor of Florida, because this would have been an embarrassment not only for the Democratic Party, but to our community as well, because this is not what we need right now. But I digress. But thank God we dodged that. But no, Venkat, knew I would not have.
I still don't regret. I still don't regret that. Because you got to detach certain things, like when you go back to Bill Clinton, so Bill Clinton is his extracurricular activities behind the scenes that much more than what he does in his actual job. And can we separate those? Because for some reason, Trump supporters don't have any problems with any of the horrendously bad things that he's done. So I can execute that same diligent behavior when it comes to it. So I wouldn't care. He could be going off with chimpanzees for all I care. I don't even give a damn.
The difference, though, Venkat, what burns me the most with Gillum was the fact that you were married. You have a beautiful wife, by the way, scorching hot. Like, you've ever seen this?
Yeah,
scorching hot.
Yeah.
That you couldn't see a quintessential more well done family, like black family, that is. And you have two good kids, two boys at that. And you find yourself in a hotel room doing coke and have some dude ramming up all sorts of stuff up in you. No, dude, it's
it is disappointing. Don't get me wrong. It is disappointing.
And if you knew that was the type of thing that you're into and whatnot, by all means, you should not have run. Again, it's like I always put this out there because I'm a Heat, and I will say it too, other than Trevor saying that out loud. But it's like I equate it to you being a pastor saying, "Oh, I'm holier than thou," but yet you're in a strip club with big booty ass flash in front of you and go, "Yeah, I'm gonna throw the $1 bill at you, girl." No, dude, it's like it doesn't make sense. So and then on top of that, there were rumblings from before the election even went into play here that he had kind of like Vance, where I'm still on the fence with Vance. Vance seems to me like he's hella gay, but that's just me, because there's so much pictures coming left, right, and center with him dressing in drag and him in draws and him doing some absurd things that which grown-ass man will do such a thing and then be like, oh, all of a sudden, oh, now I'm a devout politician and I preach holier that. Go sit your ass down somewhere. Like that, it doesn't make sense. To me, it doesn't equate. But that's how I felt about Gillum. It's like he just seemed too sweet.
You notice how the MAGA crowd isn't like totally repulsed by that. Like, they're repulsed by drag queens, they're repulsed by gay people, they're repulsed by all those things. Here are all these pictures and weird situations coming out about Vance. They're not talking about that. They're talking about other things that Vance did that was bad, but they go around that other stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like, they have like selective attention spans when it comes to some of this stuff with the Republicans here, man. Yes, I'm just not. I'm not as hard or as into that outside, like that personal stuff. I'm not really into that too much. Like I'm into like what the policies are that they're doing. And Gilliam, he's on a podcast. He looked like he's doing good. He's that one skill he does have. He talks really well.
A good
And he explains his policies really well too. So, but I hear where you're coming from, though. I do hear it.
Yeah, to me, it was a bigger disappointment of hearing what transpired after the fact, and the fact that he tried to like play it off like, "Oh no, I didn't know how I ended up in this hotel room with my friends." And somehow I bent over and something went up. Like, no, dude, what are you doing? Like this, how do you end up in South and you live in Florida? That makes no damn sense. You obviously knew what you were doing, and you ended up in South Beach in a hotel room with a bunch of dudes that you knew from God knows how long, and then you want to play it off like, oh, I had no idea during the headlights. They just found me here butt naked on the floor and something came out.
Oh yeah, the video is all that bad. It really is a bad scene. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not trying to put
no.
That video is horrible. To see that is just embarrassing like hell.
But I digress. But I'm just saying that for our community, because if that had been where he was already in the chair in Tallahassee, I think the Republicans would have had a field day, and we would never have been able to elect a Democrat again as a governor in this state. But I digress. Thank you, Lord, for dodging that bullet for us in our community. That is.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Maria G and Mike here about the fire marshal bill with Rick Scott. That's right on point right there. He really does look like a fire marshal bill. That's ridiculous. MD, what in your local elections? Is anyone running, or is there a primary running for on the Republican side or the Democratic side for Senate?
No, we ain't got no. In my district, we don't have a primary because his is not up, and of course with Warnock and the other guy, they seats ain't up, so it's all local stuff, and that was like last month when we did our primary.
You guys already did it?
Yeah, we did it in July.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's no federal seats that's up, at least in my district, and of course the Senate, their seats are not up yet. But in terms of your candidate, it ain't happening, bro. I'm just letting you know now.
I know.
It ain't happening.
Florida
is a weird state.
The money is not there.
So and the concentration of Democrats ain't there either. Now, for whatever reason, like I said, Florida is weird like that. It's no. Well, you educate me. What district that you know of in the whole state of Florida that's majority black, if any?
They didn't draw the maps like that. Republicans ain't gonna draw it like that.
Yeah, I mean, well, they probably didn't intend to do like that in Georgia either. Yet, it's still there. I think, and not only just black people, just overall, urban centers are so diverse in Florida for whatever reason. Like you go to Miami and it's not a full concentration. I'm just using Miami as an example. It's not a total concentration of liberal thinking in a lot of urban places in Florida. That's why it's always going to be red until you can get the population centers up. In terms of, it comes with a cost. I ain't saying that it don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with Florida, until you can get the population centers up to the point where those demographics matter, it's always going to be red, especially in federal election. I mean, local, you can get Democrats in, but federally, it ain't going to happen. It just ain't. Based on the fact that the demographics are not there in population centers. Like, for instance, like in Georgia, you can't touch Atlanta Metro. You just can't do it. I don't care how hard you try. It's not happening. It's always going to be a bright bright blue sun in the sky, surrounded by fields of red. That's how it's going to be that. Yet that bright blue sun is going to shine over the whole state. Why? Because the population center is so
Exactly.
concentrated. It's so concentrated that those numbers in the cities gonna outtake the rural areas every time. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
now it's getting even like better in terms of how it used to be. The numbers just weren't there. If I can correlate it back to what we was talking about with the 1968 election, the numbers just weren't there. You know what I'm saying? Even in the 1968 election, Nixon barely won the popular vote. Barely. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at it from an electoral standpoint, got to get the numbers up in places where it matters. That's why I think Florida is always going to be red until they can get the population centers up and have a candidate that's going to talk across the aisle. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to burst your bubble, Van Cat, but it ain't gonna
No,
happen.
I'm realistic about it. I understand where you're coming from, and it's right what you're saying. But that don't mean I don't try. I'm still going to vote for her. I still voted for her, so and the next time I'm going to do whatever the hell I got to do. I can't stand Rick Scott. I just don't understand how someone like Rick Scott could even get that.
Right.
It's just crazy.
Like in my district, Andrew Clyde is my house rep, right? Extreme MAGA maniac. Right next to where you can say everything else is pretty much Democrat. You got Lucy McBath right next to it. Like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
Same, you got similar rural areas in Lucy McBath's district. Yet it's Democrat. Why? Because the Atlanta Metro is just that overwhelming. Like where I live is just barely outside the Atlanta Metro.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you got a MAGA maniac in my district, North Gwinnett, up in the mountains. You go the further south you go into the city, the more deep blue it gets. I grew up as John Lewis was my house rep for damn near all my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's just what it is. It's all about the numbers that you can pull and the concentration of the numbers in certain areas.
Yeah.
Did your governor say that he's not? Did he upset Trump recently by saying he wasn't gonna?
They want Kemp head. They want his head.
Yeah.
They want his head.
He wasn't gonna verify whatever he claimed. Trump claims was gonna be whatever the election results for never something along that lines. I don't remember what they said, but
He's Mike Pence and Kemp, man. That's what he's doing. He Mike Pence and Kemp to death, forcing him to do things he's not supposed to be doing or that he can't do.
Yeah, and you can say in a way, not by much, but in a way, he's relenting to the pressure because we got this whole stuff going on now with Raffensperger, with this whole election scheme thingamajigger that's starting up now. He's got a website up, and I'm gonna do a take on this on Thursday. It's a site up in Georgia right now where you can literally go, as long as you got somebody information, their social security number, address, whatever, that you can literally delete their registration off record. Literally.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's so crazy. I saw a report on that. Yes.
Why is
it doesn't take much at all. Just a suspicion.
Why is Bad Built Bleach Blonde quiet? Where is she at? Because she got cussed out on that floor. Is she hiding? What is the question here regarding Bad Built Bleach Blonde body?
I don't know where she was at. She was in the space last night. She was in the Trump space last night. I know that. I saw her on there.
She was hella quiet, and might I add, last night was a hella disaster for him. I mean, he's going on. We're gonna get into.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
He's getting really senile to me. Like, I'm sorry, but you were making fun of Joe. You come across Trump as very old, senile, like you sounding like you all over the place, and it's drill, and a whole bunch of crap that we heard this is not gonna work for him. I keep saying it and nobody's listening to me. It's becoming very tiresome to hear him say the same it's almost like it's a loop for me. Like, is there nothing else you could speak of other than to get me excited to vote for you? It's a wrap. I can't. And then Vance is not helping. Every other day I'm seeing these pictures of him doing drag or doing some kind of crap that don't make no sense. But then he's gonna preach to us saying, "Oh, what's his name that is running with Kamala is a pedophile." Out of your head, dude, because it doesn't make sense to me. Is this the best talking points they could come up with? Come on, man, do better. We got to do better. Like, none of them are doing anything of excitement for me on that side, but I digress. I know.
So Mike, have you gotten any information in the mail or anything about any local elections coming up?
No, I just got my registration. I mean, my registration card, and we're voting on the 20th. That's all I know.
Oh, okay.
We got our primary on the 20th.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to see how it's going to come out. But like MD said, as far as that Senate race, it might be a large order for anything to change there. That really sucks. All right, so Ricardo alluded to it, so let's go into that now. The Trump Twitter fiasco, X or whatever they want to call it. I call it Twitter. Let's take a look at that from yesterday. We'll be back.
Elon Musk seems to have just begun to start his live stream with the former president. There's been a delay, and Musk just took to his own network with an explanation. Quoting from his post, there appears to be a massive DDoS attack on X, working on shutting it down. DDoS stands for Distributed Denial of Service. He went on to say, worst case, we will proceed with a smaller number of live listeners and post the conversation later. Now, this is reminiscent of the glitches on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' own live stream with Musk to launch his failed presidential campaign.
So they just keep crashing, huh? Yeah, I think we've got just a massive number of people online, so it's servers are straining somewhat.
All right, sorry about that. We've got so many people here that I think we are kind of melting the servers, which is a good sign.
This space is not available. 5 words and a failure tonight for a much anticipated conversation between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. That X event that everyone was supposed to watch, well, it broke the internet, and not in the Beyonce kind of way. If you are trying to click over to watch that Trump-Musk talk, which I believe is still ongoing, for most of the time you couldn't do it for about 40 minutes. And when the interview finally did get underway, Trump went into his normal stump speech, including more Kamala Harris insults.
They're doing it right now while this third-rate phony candidate. Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden.
Well, Trump is back on Twitter. The former president posting this, quote, "Are you better off now than you were when I was president? Our economy's shattered. Our border has been erased. We're a nation in decline. Make the American dream affordable again. Make America safe again. Make America great again." It was his first post since his infamous mugshot. So why post on X now? Well, maybe it has something to do with his big conversation with Elon Musk tonight, which was supposed to start at the top of this hour. But there were major tech issues with users reporting that they could not get into the X Spaces page. Musk says that they suffered a massive cyber attack meant to overwhelm the site's servers.
Apologies for the late start. We unfortunately had a massive distributed denial of service attack against our servers. As this massive attack illustrates, there's a lot of opposition to people just hearing what President Trump has to say.
Joining us now, CNN Kristen Holmes, covering the former president. So what's the campaign saying about all this? Well, this thing was supposed to start like at the top of the hour, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, so we're 40 minutes in here, and the campaign is saying that Trump broke the internet. I'm going to show you a tweet here. This is obvious spin from Donald Trump's team. We see a right-wing activist posting, "It's time to break the internet," and then you see Chris LaCivita saying Donald Trump did. I do want to point out, you noted what Elon Musk said there in the tweet, but then he went on to say that this was a giant server attack and that this shows how much opposition there is to even hearing Donald Trump speak. The reason why this is interesting is given the fact that Elon Musk is a supporter of Donald Trump's. He has endorsed him, and now he has given him this massive platform to speak, essentially saying that people are against even having Donald Trump out there speaking, feeding into yet another conspiracy theory, which was one of the things that we were watching closely to see how this played out when it came to Donald Trump sitting down with Elon Musk. Obviously, you have seen, the way we've all seen, Donald Trump really play into these various conservative, far right wing conspiracy theories of late, reposting pictures that he says that the crowds at Harris's event were AI generated, that there's really not those kind of crowds. That was something we were watching closely to see. And it seems like even we're starting off here, Elon Musk saying that part of this attack is because there's so much opposition to even hearing Donald Trump speak.
How was the Trump team framing this conversation with Musk earlier today?
Well, one of the questions I asked Donald Trump at our press conference last week when we were down at Mar-a-Lago and he took questions was why he wasn't out on the campaign trail. And I posed that same question to his campaign senior advisors, and they said that they believed that this election was going to be decided by a small margin of voters. And of those voters, a lot of them were low propensity voters, meaning people who don't usually turn out, or first-time voters who weren't going to get their news the traditional way, meaning they weren't going to necessarily sit and engage with politics in terms of watching a rally in a swing state, but those same voters might tune into a podcast. They might tune into an MMA event, and they might tune into an interview with Elon Musk. So that's part of the strategy here. Obviously, it's untraditional. We'll see if it works as we get closer to November.
Can we expect from this enormously hyped conversation between the world's richest man and the former president?
Because Elon Musk has come out and endorsed Donald Trump, I expect this to be like a bromance type of an interview where they're supporting each other. I think that Elon Musk will let Donald Trump speak all of the falsehoods and misinformation that he wants.
Both men have heavily trafficked in misinformation and conspiracy theories in recent years. Trump just yesterday making the false claim on social media that there were fake crowd pictures of Kamala Harris's Michigan rally last week. Musk has similarly repeatedly embraced false conspiracies, spread misinformation, and one of his first acts since buying Twitter in 2022 was to reinstate Trump's account, which was banned after January 6th for the risk of further inciting violence. It was just a couple of years ago that Trump and Musk were on the outs, Musk tweeting, quote, "It's time for Trump to hang up his hat and sail into the sunset." Trump saying this about Musk.
Elon is not going to buy Twitter. Nah, he's got himself a mess. You know, he said the other day, "Oh, I've never voted for a Republican." I said, "I didn't know that. He told me he voted for me." So he's another artist, but he's not going to be buying it.
But just after the assassination attempt against Trump, Musk endorsed the former president, and Trump now has a different tune.
I respect Elon a lot. He respects me.
And Musk is backing up his endorsement with cash, though the figures have been in dispute.
Elon Musk has started a super PAC for Donald Trump. The figures have been thrown out. He's refuted a figure of $45 million a month that he's thrown out.
But if you think about, let's go back to the economy. We have to bring energy prices down. Energy started it. The price of gasoline. Now, your cars don't require too much gasoline, so you have a good, and you do make a great product, I have to say. I have to be honest with you. That doesn't mean everybody should have an electric car, but these are minor details. But your product is incredible.
This is Elon Musk when Trump compliments him. He's got his feet in the air, all excited.
Of the AI, and I have to say that AI, and this is shocking to me, but AI requires twice the energy that the country already produces for everything. So we're going to have to build a lot of energy if our country will be competitive with China, because that's our primary competitor for this on the AI. You're going to need a lot of electricity. You're going to need tremendous electricity, like almost double what we produce now for the whole country, if you can believe it. And Bush, to a certain extent, in all fairness, forced Russia and China together. And if you're a history student, the first thing you learn is you cannot let Russia and China align. But then they also got, if you take a look, Iran, and they have North Korea. That's, they call it the axis of evil in the old days.
This is literally a kindergarten level analysis. He's like, did you know that Russia and China can be allies and they're bad? And that North Korea can even join?
Especially when you look at what's happened to our country. Our country is so bad right now. It's such a different place. We were respected. Think of it. 4 years ago, we were so respected to a point where when I said don't buy oil, they didn't buy oil, but they had no money, and Israel would have never been attacked. It is zero chance. And again, I said to Vladimir Putin, I said, don't do it. You can't do it, Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day. You cannot do it. And I told him things that what I do, and he said, no way. And I said, way. And it's the last time we ever had the conversation. He would never have done. I got along well with him.
This is the commentary of a kindergartner. I said, don't do it. Don't do it. I said, I'll do bad things. He said, no way. No, you won't. Like, Jesus Christ.
President Obama.
And I said, no way. And he said, way.
Way.
That was the compelling interview with Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Mike, what do you think about the interview that blew up the internet?
I think it was amazing because finally, there was an interview that all Americans could understand. Because Americans are idiots and they go to idiotic lengths to pick who they want. This interview was like me explaining calculus to my 10-year-old. No, I can't even say that because she would have got a couple of things off rip just from being a human being. This is what happens when a person who has no intelligence is allowed to get the microphone and no one takes it away. This is what happens when you know how on another show that I'm not going to talk about because we're talking about this show right now, when I always say the problem with women is that there's always someone that supports the BS that they say. That's what's happening. There's always someone to say, hey, I know it's a lie, but it's an alternative fact. Hey, I know it's childish, but he kind of made sense, right? Or here's the best one. Hey, he always says it how he thinks it. Yeah, because he doesn't think highly. There's no high intelligence there. He is a moron. But like I said, he's still gonna win, and we've had a moron for president before. It'll happen again.
All right, Mike. MD, what did you think about the Twitter shot heard around the world between Trump and Elon?
I mean, yeah, man, it was it was interesting to say the least. The fact that he said that AI would consume more energy, like, where did that even come from? I need to know. What is the scientific study? Huh?
It came from Elon Musk. That's where it came from. Because he was feeding him that kind of information, which I'm surprised he even knew that it consumed that much energy.
You damn right. Again, I never saw a billionaire get bought before. That was amazing.
but again, that make it even worse because Elon Musk's supposed to be this scientific guy. You know what I'm saying? So
you remember what I said earlier? Idiots have smart people behind them. I know he comes off as super duper intelligent, but just like what's his name had Steve Ballmer behind him, you keep smart guys behind you, you'll never look bad.
Bill Gates?
Well,
yeah, you're right. That's true.
Well, I mean, it's different kind of smart. So I mean, there's that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The way Elon was speaking last night, he ain't come off as smart. Like Elon, you talking about somebody that's socially awkward. Elon is socially awkward, like a mug. You know what I'm saying? But in any event, yeah, I mean, it was crazy, man. The fact that they can have that type of conversation with no political facts behind it, it's troubling, man. And also, this is what I took from it, and you had it in the clip, Venkat. The fact that he said, and this should be troubling to everybody, the fact that he said that he was talking to Putin about the whole Ukraine thing, and he said no way and way, or the stuff that Trump, and Trump never emphasized that during his presidency, that's troubling. Real troubling. You know what I'm saying?
Because he's lying.
Well, yeah, either that or he chose not. Now I'm looking at it from a non-informational standpoint. He just chose not to preemptively do anything, which is non-conservative. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't get no more non-conservative than that. With Russia of all countries, like, come on, like, what are we doing? But that lets you know that conservatism is dead. At least in the eyes of the new Republican Party, it's dead. So yeah, we got nothing out of what happened yesterday. And he talking about the DDoS attack, and that stuff didn't happen. That stuff didn't happen. I mean, come on, like we can't be realistic. It was almost 1.2 million people in the damn space. It just say it crashed and just leave it at that. It crashed.
And me and Venkat,
you know what I'm saying? Huh?
I said me and Venkat was trolling him like a mug. Harris for president 2024.
Yeah, and that stream I gave y'all, that was from a YouTuber. You know, that's a like he's so weird. You know what I'm saying? But that's another topic for another day. But in any event, yeah, I mean, it was just overall just a weird conversation, and so many contradictions. He talked about, it's not renewable energy that's the problem, it's nuclear energy. And then Elon Musk turned right around and contradicted him by saying the pros of nuclear energy. Also, he talked about global warming. Elon Musk turned around and basically debunked what Trump was saying. It was no debate to be had because it was a shield party is what it was. And that's crazy. That's crazy. But hey, man, this is what we're dealing with.
What's crazy is that it worked.
Weird is the theme of the campaign here. Weird is the theme.
What's crazy is that it worked. There was a bunch of people thinking they were. Look at these two genius men of standards talking. Oh my Lord. Yep.
It's the, you know what it is, and it's so sad that most Americans are not that smart to me, and it's kind of troubling. Y'all need to tell your kids to do geography, civics, all, because the things that he said yesterday, it was like he's making it look like it was brand new pertinent information. Sir, Russia, North Korea, and China are communist countries. They were always in an alliance. It was always a thing. You're making it look like they just formed a new relationship yesterday and you just got brand new insight from the CIA. Go sit down somewhere. You sound...
No, they formed the day he lost the election because Trump is God and everything happened the second he lost the election. Everybody got together and the Avengers died.
It just came across so forced. I'm like, dude, he's grasping at so many straws. It's not even funny. And I'm gonna hint it to the MAGA group. You know what? I'm gonna give y'all an olive branch just to give to him so he could like learn a few things or two. Sir, if you want votes, stop grasping at straws. Talk about the policies. That's the most important thing. You literally went into a spiel of drill, baby, drill. Then he went off topic again. And I was like, I can't listen to this crap. I literally logged off after that. Sir, the United States is the largest exporter of oil. I was shocked when I saw that actual feed today, when I saw that whole thing with I'm like, I thought it was Saudi Arabia. No, sirree, Bob. We are the largest exporter of oil. We extract so much oil between last year and this year that literally we could really run OPEC if we wanted to. But that's a whole different other story. When he says he's drilling, where are you going to get the oil from? Because you can't go up to the Arctic Circle to grab any oil, although Russia is trying to do that right now. But it will be blocked because guess what? That space is all Canadian in terms of the Northwest Passage, which it's not international waters. I hate to break it to some people. It's actual Canadian jurisdiction. The only thing the U.S. have is the Bering Straits, which is right there. What you call it? What I think it's Beaufort Sea or whatever it is. That's the only jurisdiction y'all have. So where is he going to get the oil from? Keystone was blocked. So I'm trying to figure out in my head where you're going to drill from. The only basis that you'll have will be Alaska, which we've always been drilling from. That's the largest equity source that we have for oil, other than drilling where else, MD? I'm trying to think. It's not even like you could drill from the Pacific Islands, like the atolls that we have and whatnot in America. You can't drill from there. So Texas will always be there. California will always be there. Where are you trying to drill from? Like the same message that you're going for in terms of consuming. And that was the only thing that grabbed me again. I'm sorry to get off base because there's so much that he literally dived into that I was like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. He mentioned about AI being an energy consumption. Again, I don't know how he knew that information, but you couldn't, equate or speak eloquently about everything else. But you knew that, but it consumes that much energy. Yes, it does. Microsoft have been saying that to you when you were in power, sir, that they were like literally begging you in Silicon Valley saying, hey, look, China is way ahead of us. And if you want us to like be up there with them, y'all need to be like investing heavily in Silicon Valley. No. When I get into power in the next 4 more years, meaning that time when Joe was coming in with Kamala, I'm going to make sure that happened. None of that happened on your watch. So, sir, where, again, with all this stuff that you're mumbo-jumboing about, you could have done all of that in your term, in your first term. You didn't do anything. So now you're sitting here now telling me now with Musk, which is another socially awkward person, like to me, twin, if you get my drift here, he reminds me of that one nerd that couldn't get none in high school, but then all of a sudden he got the money. He's like, yeah, I could get any woman I want. You're still socially awkward, Musk. It's one of those things where you still, how many baby mamas you have now? I think it's like, 5, something like that. I can't even remember. But like Musk, you awkward as
hell. I thought he had like 12 kids.
He had more than 12 kids. I was just exaggerating in the smallest minuscule term, but he has a lot of kids. He's that kind of dude that was like, oh, when I become hella rich, I could have any woman I want. And that's how he comes across. Very
one of them is a tranny.
That's a whole nother story, MD. You didn't have to go in that direction. But
ain't nothing wrong with that, but it is what it is.
He's very awkward and weird. But I don't get the whole thing. Trump needs somebody other, and again, and I knew this because I said this about Vance. Vance is not going to be able to save him because even on the weekend, a whole bunch of people were asking Vance, like he was being interviewed. I think it was on CBS, and they asked him the question like, your own president, the guy that selected you, said on the first day you don't matter because it's all about a president, not a vice president. And I'm saying to myself, what in God's green earth is going on here? If you selected me as a vice president, I do matter because if something happens to you, God forbid, I'm jumping into your space. So how do I not matter? He deflected, he go round and round in a circle. He went into Kamala. I'm like, they ask you, how do you feel about Trump saying that you don't matter, that you're not relevant compared to him? And he was like, oh, well, he has every right to say what sir, what are you doing, Vance? What are you doing?
That's pretty much Donald Trump saying he ain't worth a damn. Like he's a horrible pick. That's pretty much what it is.
Man, I felt so embarrassed for him. I was like, you know what? I can't even. Conservatives, if this is where you're going with the MAGA party, y'all have a lot of work to do. Really a lot. And not to veer off from the Democrats, because I have a whole bunch of bone to pick with y'all. But do better, man. That y'all need to do extremely. If this is the pick that y'all wanted Trump to pick on account of you thought that Joe was going to still be in the race, y'all are screwed royally because you only have 2 more months left, and it's the debate that I'm literally waiting for that debate to come for September so I could really gauge how much he's going to be babbling about, going on and on about nonsense. I just want that debate to happen so I could see where Kamala is at and how her cross example is going to work on the stage. But Trump got to do better because he's coming across to me senile, as in old and not knowing what he's doing. And it's all grasping at straws, but I digress. It's very scary, y'all, but I need him to do better. Whosoever's out there in the MAGA crew who's listening to us, send him that information. Don't go down that rabbit hole of race. Do policy. It's all you need to do if you want to win the race. But I gave you too much information.
All right. So what we're going to do now is do that news update about Christopher Dunn, and then we will get back on the other side.
A Missouri man's fight for freedom has finally come to an end. You're looking at 52-year-old Christopher Dunn being released from custody late yesterday after spending 34 years behind bars. He was convicted for the murder of a teenage boy and is now free following a chaotic legal battle. Last week, a judge in St. Louis overturned his conviction, ordering Dunn's immediate release. But in a shocking move, Missouri's Attorney General filed a notice of appeal with the state Supreme Court and ordered Dunn to remain behind bars while the legal battle played out. Yesterday, the state Supreme Court ruled the circuit judge cannot unconditionally release Dunn while criminal charges were pending. But the state said it would not retry him, leading to his release. Aaron Moriarty has followed this case closely.
Christopher Dunn emerged from a St. Louis courthouse Tuesday night, pausing with a smile to take in his first seconds of freedom. A moment more than 3 decades in the making for the 52-year-old who has spent more than half his life behind bars.
It's easy to give up in prison when you lose hope. But when the system chooses to throw you away, you have to ask yourself if you're willing to just settle for it or you're going to fight for it.
That fight for freedom, starting with a gunshot in the dark just after midnight on May 19, 1990, that killed 15-year-old Rico Rogers. The only testimony was from 2 children, then 12 and 14, who said they saw Dunn shoot Rogers. It put a then 18-year-old Dunn behind bars, where he would spend the next 34 years maintaining his innocence and waiting for his murder conviction to be overturned, after both witnesses later admitted they lied at trial as teens.
It should have been this long, nor should it have taken this long for everyone to want to come forward now.
Dunn was moments from freedom last week when a judge ordered his release, but he was sent back to his cell after the state attorney general's office launched a last-second appeal to keep him there. He spent another 6 days in prison as the Missouri Supreme Court took up the case. They ruled that in order for Dunn to be released, the city's circuit attorney's office would have to drop the charges and would not retry him.
To get prepared to leave, only to be brought back into the prison, it was torture.
Dunn spoke to us from inside that Missouri prison last fall. If you had not been arrested,
Wow.
where would you be today?
Probably, if not a professor at St. Louis University, I would be somewhere teaching. I'd have graduated from college. I probably had about 2 or 3 children by now. But I'd have been a damn good dad.
And while Dunn now says he won't get his past back, he is ready for the future.
I got a life to live now, and it's time to move forward.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Erin Moriarty.
Wow, what an update. We will be sitting down with Dunn and his wife, Kira, for an interview. We will share more details on that when we have them.
I think the point that he makes at the end, I know he's looking forward to his future, and that's wonderful. But for me, watching his story unfold, the fact that he lost out so much of his life.
Yeah, and to maintain his innocence while clinging on to hope during what wasn't dark days, but dark decades in prison, and now being free, looking forward.
All right, so there we go. Christopher Dunn freed after about 34 years in prison. That happened about 2 weeks ago. And Mike introduced the story as a topic for the show a couple weeks back. And here we have the update. So I'll go to Mike now. Mike, what do you think about Christopher Dunn's story here?
I'm a little disgusted because everybody, like, this story isn't far-fetched, right? It's not, oh man, I can't believe that happened. It's, man, I'm glad they figured it out and got him out of jail. And if we all can see that this has happened more than once, more than twice, more than 20 times, I don't understand why there isn't a push to go back and look at all these people who have been locked up. Who say, I know they go, everybody says they're innocent. Okay, do the research, because we know I personally believe, and we know in our heart of hearts, that for a long time, police were just going, it's probably that guy, and throwing him in jail. And we have so many cases where you go over and you look and you see that not only was it just hearsay, or not only was there no real evidence, or not only was it a jury that wasn't of his peers, or not only was it just a like if you hear the amount of insane stories and people are locked up and then they use it against us and go, well, those black people always do crime. And it's like, yeah, because you guys say it's us all the time. Anything happens, it's always, hey, he fits the description. And the worst part, then they block him from getting out of. That's crazy. I promise you, and this is the words of Mike is right, or only Mike is right, and do not pertain to the Tape Fist Politics or anybody else on the panel. I promise you this. If I get out and I sue them and they don't give me nothing but $1 million, because they got that law now where you used to be you get $1 million for every year you were locked up. Then they try to shorten it so you only get $1 million. I'm gonna spend that whole $1 million on finding that district attorney. I'll leave it at that. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, people. If you just have to take the sequence from the Batman movies to understand where Mike is going at.
Facts. I don't understand people.
It's crazy. It's a crazy ass story. I mean, I was looking for I knew about the whole he was released after they stopped him from being released initially a few weeks back. So I'm like, I lost his name. So I'm like, okay, let me type in innocent man that was in prison. Immediately, a bunch of different guys, mainly black, came up. And I'm seeing decades of time, like 28 years, 30 something, 48 years. I'm seeing that type of time. So it's not like his story is a unique one. Nope. There's like so many. And there was even there was a white guy who had 17 years. I mean, it was crazy. Like this is ridiculous. That means that the judicial system is completely not batting at a high rate here. They're just throwing niggas in jail just because.
And they're choosing not to throw the others in jail.
Right.
Because they got money.
It's a conceited effort to do this, man. It's ridiculous. Like, that should not be. That really shouldn't be. And if you're going to mess up like that, you should have to pay out the ass. You should have to pay out the ass. And the family members of those people that lost their lives, because you pretty much lost your life. If you're coming out, you're 60 some odd years old. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man.
And
so they should get some. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, and you can't function in society.
No, you can't. You don't have the training to adapt to this computer-driven, highly technological world that we live in. When Dunn got out, he was tripping on the cost of clothes because he's still thinking about 1991 money. And he was just flabbergasted at how much a shirt and a pair of pants costs compared to what it would be in 91. 91 when he was there. But, I mean, it's just insanity, man. Like, how he doesn't know about, because in 91, Super Nintendo came out in 91. So he has no idea about PlayStation, Xbox. He has no idea about certain movies, certain songs, music, books.
Bro, you show him an iPhone, it'll blow his mind.
It's like a deep level of, like, he doesn't understand. Like, it's like he's like an alien from another planet.
Man, that white woman to get him acclimated. Stop. Hey, we don't need all that.
Wait a minute now.
He gonna get paid, and his white one, his white owner.
But they say they don't pay
gonna get him right.
The state that state is not paying. They don't.
All
pay
you gotta do is all you gotta do is sue. He gonna get some money. Trust and believe that.
I don't know.
They have those new laws in certain states that it's all curtailed to $1 million.
It's not even, because they're saying they only pay unless it was found by DNA evidence. His case was not found by DNA evidence.
Oh, wow.
So he's not
we
getting
talked about that the other week.
Yeah.
He gonna get some money. Trust and believe that. Let me say this real quick because I think I'm about to get into a dead spot. Look, he gonna be all right. I'm a law and order guy, so of course, innocent until proven guilty. Circumstantially, there was no evidence to trial. I get that. If you're asking me personally, I still think he did it. If you're asking me personally,
I don't know why you think that, MD.
because of what the prior testimony showed. The two little boys was in two different locations witnessing the crime. They didn't collude with who they identified. They didn't collude at all. Nobody's talking about. So just magically out the blue, they identify this person. I got to go off
Well,
what was presented in
that's the
court at the end of the
police.
day.
You know
That's
exactly
the
how that
police.
happened. They
That's the
laid pictures
police.
down, and he kept his finger on one a little bit longer.
I don't have any evidence for that. So with that being said, based on what the testimony showed, I can only do off that. Now at the end of the day, all these were some niggas. At the end of the day, even the little boys. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, you got to go off what Lady Justice said. Lady Justice said there's no evidence proving the crime. So there's that. Circumstantial at least. So that's all I say on. Like I said, you asking me personally, I think he did it.
I do not. I'm gonna make sure my lawyer does not let you stay on the journey.
Guilty. That nigga's guilty. I got the rope right here.
I believe it. I believe. I'm like, get Uncle Ruckus ass out of here.
The jury will now go off and deliberate on. Guilty! That nigga is guilty! Sir, settle down. You have to go deliberate. I don't need to deliberate. Hang that nigga now. I got the rope right here.
Yo, Boondocks is a gem.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Right.
All right. So let's go to the next thing. So we should look now at
No, did you talk to
Poland.
Ricardo?
Oh, I'm sorry. Ricardo.
Don't treat my twin like the others.
Like others. Ricardo, what's your view? Christopher Dunn. I totally messed that up.
I mean, there's nothing else to say other than what everybody else has stated. I just find it fascinating that he got so much pushback because even up until the week before his release, I think it's mostly I don't know if it's a social media kind of push, but I guess is it Ohio that he's in, right? That's the state. That's where the issue started from. I remember reading somewhere they're like
Missouri.
It was Missouri. It's one of them states where it's Missouri. So it in their case legislation, there's certain things that they prohibit or block. When it comes to the cases, I will say one thing is that those two boys at the interview recanted their statement. So whenever anybody recants a statement, it's automatically grounds for, okay, well, they must have been coerced on the grounds of, the cops told me to do this or else they're going to do something to my family or whatnot. So it wouldn't be surprising that that was the case, but it's still an unjust thing for the state to have went through so much great lengths and breadth to block this man, knowing, if it's circumstantial evidence or whatnot, they should be released. Release the damn man. It's now how many years after the fact? And he's gonna have to be rehabilitated in society. That's not gonna be easy, like everybody has mentioned. Just give the man this damn money before he dies. I mean, there's so much injustice in this country, and again, the correlation stands where it's always, men from our community that's the most majority led in terms of these cases. Science is proven to be our best friend or enemy, and I usually choose to go on the side of science because it's factual. It's right in front of you, case-wise presentable, whether or not we like it or not when it comes to like the results. But science is our friend, and if most of these states invest more in terms of doing the innocent projects or whatnot, whether you are for it or against it. If it could help lead out some of these brothers out of incarceration, by all means, man, just get it rolling. But we live in this country of great injustice, so most of the time we it's one of them things where you just in solemn and solitude go you know, only God, you could pray to God and hope for the best, and hopefully an innocent person doesn't die before their time, knowing, you know, they were unjustly done. But I digress.
All right. Thanks for that, Ricardo. So I think right now is as good a time as any for us to go to the MAGA turns as the MAGA turns. So we're going to head on over, get that world spinning.
I know this is awkward for you, Ellie, but it doesn't change the way I feel. Please come back to the yacht with me.
As the MAGA turn.
Turns to shit, okay? It's true. It's true. Look at what's happening.
Donald Trump's polling numbers dropping significantly. People are concerned. And all of a sudden, Kyle Rittenhouse decides he's not supporting the guy. Here it is.
Hi, I'm Kyle Rittenhouse, Outreach Director for Texas Gun Rights. A lot of people are upset that I said I'm going to be writing in Ron Paul for President of the United States. And that is true. I will be writing in Ron Paul. Unfortunately, Donald Trump had bad advisors making him bad on the Second Amendment, and that is my issue. If you cannot be completely uncompromisable on the Second Amendment, I will not vote for you, and I will write somebody else in. We need champions for the Second Amendment, or our rights will be eaten away and eroded each day. I support my decision, and I have no takebacks.
Granted, Kyle Rittenhouse is a dumbass and a killer. Let's put his picture up full mass. I'm taking the opportunity to exploit a significant dysfunction on the right. Kyle Rittenhouse, ladies and gentlemen, the killer who was promoted by Fox News, who was funded by Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk and crew, who was pictured with Donald Trump, praised by Donald Trump. This individual has now decided to pivot during Trump's worst hour. Sir, are you leaving MAGA, Rittenhouse? Has he gotten out of the cult? All right, per the Daily Beast, Kyle Rittenhouse, the darling of the right after he just, crossed state lines to kill people in 2020, says he's not going to vote for Donald Trump. Quote, a lot of people are upset that I said I'm going to be writing in Ron Paul for President of the United States. And that is true. I will be writing in Ron Paul. The 21-year-old said in a clip posted on X hours after sharing a picture of him posing alongside the former Texas congressman. A moment later, he even retweeted the photo saying, still writing in Ron Paul. Now, let's keep that picture up just for a moment. So, Kyle, I don't believe you, young man. I think you are an opportunist. I think you're broke. And I think Ron Paul gave you some money. All right. Rittenhouse shot 3 protesters, 2 of whom died. Kenosha, Wisconsin. You know it well. 4 years ago, during the BLM protest, and was later acquitted of criminal charges because the judge fell in love with him. Trump invited Rittenhouse to Mar-a-Lago after the trial, describing him as a, quote, nice young man and a fan of Trump. Now, I'm hyping this up, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm hoping to make Donald Trump respond to Kyle Rittenhouse. Would that not be perfect for the showdown between Trump and Rittenhouse side of the MAGA movement? Put it at full mass. This is an election of contrast, ladies and gentlemen. You have not seen an American election with this kind of contrast by way of the 2 major parties. So how are things looking for Trump? Per Raw story, a panicked campaign data analyst called his boss 2 days before Trump addressed the National Association of Black Journalists to report a serious problem with a scheduled focus group with Black MAGA voters. They kept dropping out. Target Smart poster. Ben Lazarus took to X Thursday to share his anecdote as Trump faced mounting criticism over his race-based attack of Vice President Kamala Harris at the event. Quote, "We all know better than to generalize quail findings," Lazarus wrote. But this remarkable problem is not one I've ever encountered in 15 plus years of polling. I want to remind everyone, as I always do, polls are not predictions, but they are snapshots of current sentiment. Sometimes even a trend can be determined in polling data. So Lazarus explained the panicked recruiter called him after 2 weeks of organizing focus groups with Black voters in key swing states. Quote, "Groups were originally organized as Biden voters, Trump voters, and undecided third-party voters," Lazarus explained. Quote, "Groups usually take 2 to 3 weeks to recruit. And in the days leading up to the sessions, we do confirmation calls. The confirmation calls did not go according to plan," Lazarus writes. Quote, "2 days before the Black Trump voter group, my recruiter reaches out to me in a mild panic. The group was falling apart," Lazarus wrote. "Of the 7 Black Trump voters versus Biden, we originally recruited just 2 weeks earlier. 3 had to bail because they were now supporting Harris. Recent polling data has told a similar story." Understand what Lazarus is saying here. He's done polling data for over 15 years. He has said on record, he has never seen this kind of shift or turnaround in focus groups. Focus groups, once again, are people, okay? The turnaround is not a swing, meaning more popularity is coming to the left or the right based on the undecided voters taking a side. That's common. He's saying people who said they were supporting Trump are now supporting Harris. And the number is damn near 50% of the Black folk who said they were supporting Trump went on record and said they're now supporting Harris. So obviously you cannot move forward with them in the focus group. So while Trump made headway with Black voters, according to some polls, as he campaigned against former President Joe Biden, that lead has basically evaporated since Harris took Biden's place as the presumptive Democratic nominee. This might explain why Trump chose to do a live interview with 3 journalists at the NABJ in Chicago on Wednesday. So the impact of Trump's responses, among them that he was the best president for Black Americans since Abraham Lincoln, and interviewer Rachel Scott was horrible and nasty, remains to be seen. One Fox News pundit called Trump's performance an absolute dumpster fire as well. All right, so here it is.
This should not even be close, but it is because we are so corrupt and stupid as a country.
When they report that Kamala Harris is now dead heat with President Trump, that's a bunch of baloney, right?
It is the most massive lie. For people to understand, why are they doing this? They're still planning on stealing. They think they can steal the election. So the only way people will accept it is if they show polls. See, this is just what the polls show. So that is how, I don't know if people understand, this is the way. We haven't had a real election, a real presidential election in our nation in over 50 years. They have not, this, the proof is kind of out there, but it'll be out there more. We have not had unfraudulent elections forever, practically. And so, but the way they do it, in order for the people not to catch on, they have to push polls. The poll pushing is first stage and the most important stage of the steal, because they can just say, well, all the steal shows, and they don't have to call it steal, is what our polls have been showing. And so this is part of the strategy.
This is how Jesus became white, because of rhetoric from people like that, okay? Sir, you know, I'm just going to go on record and say I agree with you, MAGA. These elections are horribly compromised. Unfortunately, that means it's better for you not to even vote. I mean, what you gonna do, man? You know, it's already done. All right? I got you, man. I feel you.
All right, so there we go. Kyle Rittenhouse decided over guns, question mark, question mark, question mark, is why he's removing his support. I think it's more because Trump is just frailing around and just dying right now on the political stage. And it's not a good look to support Donald Trump, so he's just switching out on him. So, Mr. Right, Mike, what do you think about Kyle Rittenhouse removing his support of Donald Trump?
Trevor's gonna curse you out. I heard what you almost called me. I think the analyst was correct. I think he got paid. I believe I believe Trump will get him something and he'll switch back maybe. But do you remember that movie,
He
the
already
Chris
did
Rock
it.
movie? He already did it? See, I didn't even know that. Mike is right and he didn't even know. Look at that. So you remember that movie where Chris Rock was running for president?
Yep, I love that movie.
I do as well. Do you remember what they did, what the last minute thing they did to try to get out the white vote?
Enlighten me.
They put out a bunch of news reports and things saying that the black president was winning, that he was going to win and it was for sure going to happen. And then all the whites who didn't like him or couldn't stand the guy came out of nowhere like, it can't be a Negro. That's what's going to happen. All the polls are showing Kamala surging ahead. All they're doing is telling the whites who look at Trump like a buffoon to get ready to stand up and run and stop this negress from getting into office. That's all this is. But hey, nobody listens to Mike.
It remains to be seen, Mike. We shall see.
All right.
Ricardo, what's your view on Rittenhouse ditching Trump and Trump's troubles in the polls?
I mean, my. He's now literally telling us, I guess he's a politician now.
Oh, he will be.
We've come a long way, right? From him doing what he did, and now we're taking, advice from a so-called killer. But I digress. I mean, people can change. We could give redemption when needed, but
not him.
he ain't far. I mean, there's certain people we can't forgive, like case in point, Casey Anthony, and the other one that killed the what's his name with the hoodie on.
Yeah. Fire up on the wall of them. You know y'all talk.
So it's tough, but it's amazing that we didn't even need him to tell us that. Like we already know, but Mike does have a point. Mike does have a point though, where it's just a dog whistle of them saying, "Oh, Kamala is doing. She's surging 20% of the polls." In other words, get your ass up, white nationalists, and go vote, because it's a scaremongering tactic that we're using. I mean, they've used it all the time, but they saw what happened in 2008, so they're not going to take that risk. But it is a very close to call election. Anything can happen. It just takes somebody to fart the wrong way, and it's automatically it's going to go to the next person. So it's one of them things, but I just find it fascinating that, he's coming out now doing the most and saying, oh, Trump, Kamala has this. I mean, in any dynamics, when there's a new, well, she's not really new. She's been on the ticket the whole time. It's just that they downplayed her to not have her overshadowed. And again, some people were saying why she never picked Shapiro. Shapiro is too much of a superstar. You can't have somebody overshadowing you. It's kind of like I equate it to like you getting married and you have the maid of honor or the groomsmen, overshadowing you at your own wedding. Like hell no. So it's kind of like that. But I just don't know if I need advice from, Kyle. I mean, come on, dude. you've done a number of things that we're not really happy with, but if you're jumping into the political arena on account of you trying to make money, hey, who am I to tell you in this capitalistic country not to do your thing? So go ahead, man. I wouldn't be surprised if you end up on Dancing with the Stars or doing an OnlyFans or, you know what I mean? Anything to make your money, do it. The best-selling book might be next, but he ain't wrong. I mean, Kamala is surging in the polls, and Trump should be slightly worried because he is now looked at as the old fart compared to Joe, who was, for the past 6 months, looked at the same way. But it's, how does Alanis Morris say it? Isn't it ironic, don't you think? I digress.
All right,
Good
thanks,
reference,
Ricardo.
Twin.
What's that, Mike?
I said good reference, Twin.
All right, so what we're going to do now is take a look at those polls, those recent polls that show how Kamala and Trump are doing currently, and we'll be back on the other end.
The enthusiasm around the Harris-Walz campaign is seen at their rallies, no doubt. It's also showing up in new polling that we want to bring to you today, showing the Democratic ticket has made some gains in some battleground states. What does momentum look like in the polls? Harry Hinton is here. What are you seeing?
What am I seeing? So these were these New York Times Siena College polls that came out over the weekend. And look, this is Democrat versus Trump margin. This is May, Biden versus Trump. You see plenty of red on this side of your screen, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. Of course, that quote-unquote blue wall. This was back in May. You saw Trump up by 3, Trump up by 1 in Wisconsin, Biden up by a single point in Michigan. The trend line here is what's so important. So let's jump ahead from May to August. We go from some red on this side of the screen. Look at all this blue on this side of the screen. Pennsylvania, Harris by 4. Wisconsin, Harris by 4. Michigan, Harris by 4. So you're seeing those comments on Trump on social media kind of going bananas, and you're wondering why. It's because he's looking at polling data like this, which shows clear momentum from Donald Trump to Kamala Harris as Joe Biden's got out of the race. I'll note still no clear leader up here, but you would much rather be Kamala Harris up by 4 within the margin of error than Joe Biden down by 3 in Pennsylvania, down 1 in Wisconsin, and only up by 1 in Michigan within the margin of error. These are 3 to 5 point movements towards the Democratic ticket. Clear momentum, and it's clearly angering Donald Trump.
But take us inside the numbers. Who is Harris appealing to that Joe Biden was not when we had these numbers?
Yeah, so, okay. Is it that Harris is getting Republican voters? No, it's not that she's getting Donald Trump voters from 2020. What is she doing? Number one, she's coalescing the Democratic base. So look, in Biden this spring, he was getting only 90% of the voters who voted for him back in 2020. Look at it now. What do we see? We see Kamala Harris is getting 93% of those voters. So we see that momentum. The other thing that we see is those untraditional voters. Those voters, there's all this talk that Donald Trump was going to get these voters off the sidelines and get them to vote for him who didn't vote in 2020. Back in the spring, look at that. Joe Biden was only getting 28% of the 2020 non-voters. Look at where Kamala Harris is now. She's getting 43% of those voters, a 15-point jump. So Kamala Harris is doing two things here. Number one, she's getting more of those untraditional voters. And number two, she's coalescing that Democratic base.
Are you seeing signs in other polling of the Harris momentum as well?
Yeah, okay. So if it's just one poll, I'm not that interested. But take a look here. This is among those certain to vote. This is the Democrat versus Trump in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. This is an Ipsos poll that came out last week. Look at this, the June margin, Biden versus Trump. We see Trump was up by 2, very similar to what we saw in those New York Times Siena College polls. Look at where we are now in this August margin. Look at that, +2 for Harris. So again, a 4-point movement towards Harris, again within the margin of error. And the last thing I'll note, look at this. If Harris just wins up in the Great Lakes, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, she can lose Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia, and she gets to exactly 270 electoral votes.
All right, so momentum it is today.
Momentum it is.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
over the weekend. He made fun of Senator John Tester's weight, the Democrat in Montana. He called Tim Walz, quote, very freakish. He said Harris Walz supporters were pink-haired Marxists, looters, perverts, flag burners, Hamas supporters, drug dealers, gun grabbers, and human traffickers. And he also continued to be fixated on the crowd size of what Vice President Harris is getting versus his own. In fact, in a series of social media posts, he shared debunked footage and claims that Harris was doctoring her crowd size. These were AI images that they were sharing. He said that she should be disqualified because they faked their crowd sizes when these photos were easily debunked.
How many of you were supporting Joe Biden 14 days ago? Raise your hands. None of you. How many of you, if the election were held today, would vote for the Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris?
I would.
Okay, that's all of you.
None of you to all of you. And Frank Luntz is with us now. Frank, so thank you so much for being with us. Let me just ask you, if the election were held today, who would win?
She would win. And I want to emphasize, it's not just about momentum. And I thought your commentary just before this was dead on. It's also about passion. It's about commitment. And Harris voters are even more eager to vote for her than Donald Trump voters are to him. We've not seen that in the entire campaign. Call that intensity. And her campaign is generating the intensity. And another key component is exactly why this is happening. She's talking and emphasizing her persona, her attributes, her character traits. And that's where Donald Trump has been commenting on. And the fact is, the American people do not want to hear the same kind of negativity, the same kind of attacks that he's been delivering. His strength is on issues, most particularly the two issues that matter most, inflation and immigration. But instead of speaking about those two issues and talking about the failures of the Biden administration, he's been making these personal attacks, and it's frankly turning the voters off that he needs to reach.
Biden's communication strategy was designed to make Trump bigger. Harris's strategy is to make him smaller. And then Klein continues, the result is that Trump is starved for the resource he craves most, attention. And as is often the case when he loses control of the headlines, he's making loonier in more self-destructive arguments.
All right, there we go. Donald Trump saying people using AI. So let's see if MD, are you available?
Yeah, I can hear y'all. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I was in the forest.
So did you catch the polling information that we just looked at?
Yeah, I did.
What's your take?
It goes back to the point for people, so going back to Mike's point that he made at the beginning of the show. We all understand that there's people that have already made up their mind from a partisan standpoint who they're going to vote for. This is not a fight with them. It's a fight about independence. There's focus groups going on all over the place, proving that there is a swing vote to be had. It may be based off of nonsensical biases like somebody's age or like stuff like that, but it's going on nonetheless. Kamala just had a rally last week where she had a Republican mayor at her rally. After that, a state poll came out in Arizona that had a swing of voters going toward Kamala. Why? Because there's a vast, I guess you would say, minority of never Trump people that are still riding on the fence from an ideological standpoint, that don't think that they're bound to vote for Kamala Harris, yet they won't vote for Trump. Those are the people that's going to be key in this election. That's just a fact. In terms of like her probability with a lot of states, yeah, the blue wall is important. Like I said last week, Georgia is in play. I don't care what nobody say. If you don't think you're gonna have that blue magic in Georgia like you had 2020, you got another thing coming. Especially after you had Megan Thee Stallion up there twerking and all. It's in play. It's definitely in play. So it won't be far fetched if Georgia remain blue. So and you got a myriad of other states that are becoming in play. North Carolina, you know what I'm saying? Virginia blue anyway, but it's other states that can be in play. As far as like the gentleman said, as far as his rhetoric, even with the standpoint of immigration and inflation, if you're telling fallacies based off the policies that you're trying to tout, what difference do it make? All that is saying is people are too stupid to understand what the intricate details are, and they lying straight up. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to talk on the Kyle. I don't think I got a chance to talk on the Kyle Rittenhouse thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quick. Kyle Rittenhouse is a sucker. He's a grifter, and his main goal is to make as much money as possible based off something that he did, because he knows that a certain majority base. I ain't even gonna say majority because it ain't. Conservatism is dead, but a certain base is gonna champion that. So he have to make money. Now, as far as the Second Amendment thing, when did he come to that determination? Because last I checked, Trump did all his gun legislation in like the first year of his first term. So where was he in 2020?
Yep.
I ain't hear nothing about Kyle Rittenhouse in 2020. Well, he was shooting up people. I know he was doing that.
That's it.
But in terms of like his stance on where he was gonna vote, I ain't hear nothing about no Kyle Rittenhouse. He went to Mar-a-Lago right after the trial. What happened? All this stuff is a farce, man. Don't believe these MAGA maniacs. Don't believe them. He wanted to get everybody in the uproar. He saw the pushback. He immediately redid everything he said. He came out with a statement saying, "Oh, I reviewed blah 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 this and that. Now I'm back with Trump." How that work? You know what I'm saying? It's either you with Second Amendment rights or you're not. Now, for I guess from a conventional standpoint, I get it, but you ain't standing on nothing. You know what I'm saying? You're a coward at the end of the day. I know another guy that's big on gun rights. His name is Tim Walz. You know what I'm saying? But hey, that's another subject for another day. But yeah, he's a grifter, man. That shouldn't even been a story. You know what I mean? But yeah, as far as like what's going on in the polls, again, they're snapshots. Everybody understands that. But they can tell us what the current climate is, right? The current climate is clearly saying that, one, you have a uptick of enthusiasm within the Democratic base that was not there. Secondly, there is a contingency of never Trump Republicans that are coming toward Kamala. That's just a fact. That ain't me saying it. Like it's all kind of focus group. I follow the Bulwark with Sarah Longwell. She do focus group every week, and every week when I watch her, she has Republican focus group saying that they now vote for Harris based on the fact that they weren't voting for Biden. That's called a swing. So from that aspect, there is a contingency of swing voters that exists. You just got to find them, and that's all I got.
All right, thanks, MD. Ricardo, what do you think here about the polling and all the other loony, crazy stuff that Trump's been doing, calling people names? We're talking AI images for at the plane with the crowd. He's saying it's not fake, and he believes that people that do AI fake crowds should not be eligible to become president, when he lied about his crowd in 2016. But whatever. What do you think about that, Ricardo?
First and foremost, those damn swingers, I tell you, y'all can't behave y'all damn selves. You just have to be swinging all over the damn place. But I digress.
Got to get those swings that stay on the door.
with their damn pineapples and whatnot on cruises, and that's a whole nother. I'm sorry, I divulged way too much information there. Let me get back to the topic I had. This is the same dude that said that he had more people than the Million Man March in Washington D.C., where it featured I'm losing my damn memory here. With
Or
Martin Luther King
Farrakhan and
Jr.
them.
and all of them.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? Like you
He
just
said he had a bigger audience than Martin Luther King. Martin Luther
literally.
the King.
And I'm saying to myself, you really, that's how I know he's losing it. Like when you know people are desperate and desperation calls for anything, you're gonna say, oh, he did a press conference, and the only thing I kept hearing is the comparison between his crowds and Kamala's crowd, and how Martin Luther King Jr. crowd was smaller than in comparison to his. When they showed a contrast of him being in the same arena, where it was Kamala one week and then it was him, when they panned out the entire camera and literally the media was there, you could see that he had way less amount of people in concentration compared to what Kamala has in terms of a resurgence. So I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know who was telling him what, but this is coming from the same man that drew a Sharpie to indicate where a hurricane was going and then made on account of he wanted to not look stupid. Sir, you already been stupid in my eyes. So a Sharpie would never. A hurricane can only go one direction or the next. You sharpieing a hurricane to go towards Louisiana was never going to save you. But keep thinking what you think. The polls, I believe, are 100% accurate. I do want to mention, though, I never trust polls because they're always skewed. Because on one hand, one person could say, "Hey, I'm never going to vote for Kamala," and when they get into the booth, they're going to think, "All right, well, do I want to go through 4 more years of divisiveness and the party's not doing a damn thing and there's obstruction everywhere? Or do I want to go for maybe she might be able to change something and get us moving ahead in terms of progression?" I think that's the question that most people are going to face in the polls is, are they going to think, do we want to go? And this is the same thing that happened 4 years ago when we had Joe Biden and Kamala ticket. Most people didn't want to go through after the midterm election. We didn't want to go through the divisiveness of the two groups not doing a damn thing, obstruction everywhere. This nonsense of we're not going to do anything on the other side's not going to. People are sick and tired of it, so they picked Joe Biden, and he had the largest voting turnout of an election ever because of that. The same thing could apply now. I just think, based on the issues that we're looking at people worrying about inflation, about gas prices, about natural disasters that we're going into. I mean, we're looking at this being one of the hottest records, one of the hottest summers on record, and this is the same man that says he doesn't believe in global warming. This is troubling for me, for him to admit that last night when he said that. Sir, you don't believe in global warming, and you are on the side of the petroleum people that are polluting the planet even more. That gives off greenhouse effects. Sir, you need to get it together, because we don't got time for all of this nonsense where you're literally like not sure, you're flip-flopping and you're trying to appease the big money ticket people. It ain't gonna help. And the same thing that the newscasters are saying in terms of the polls is the same thing I've been seeing. He's kind of alienating certain voters as opposed to him talking about certain things. What he's doing is doing segmentations of, I think I might be able to appease those people. Like, you're calling her the Harris Warren ticket. Is that his name? Isn't it Walls his name is? I'm mixing up Warren here. We're thinking about
Walls.
Walls. You calling them redhead, whatchamacallit, pedophile. Like, what are we doing here? This is what we're doing. We're name calling now too. This is not gonna work. You gotta focus. You gotta zero in Trump. If you say that you're conservative, like you claim to say you are, there's things that appeal to the conservatives. You are not getting the independent voters. You're not getting the Black women voters. You're not getting those suburban moms that you keep alienating when you speak of certain things when it comes to misogyny with Harris. You're not going to win with those voters. You got to be careful, because it's very dicey when you go down those rabbit holes. Again, I cannot stress this enough. This is not Hillary Clinton you're dealing with. You're dealing with Kamala Harris. Same kind of feel, she's coming from the same kind of, I guess, aspect of Hillary, but she is now a African American woman, or better we say it in the correct terms here, a black woman. So there's a lot that goes against you. Even he himself admit that there's chances are the black women are not going to vote for me. You're damn right they're not going to vote for you because you keep finding ways to alienate them by saying certain things that are derogatory towards the one person that you shouldn't be speaking about. Ill will wise, DEI, and all this nonsense that you're talking about ain't gonna get you votes because again, what you're gonna do is force those people that don't want to vote for Harris to vote for her anyways when it comes down to the last segment of that weekend or week to vote. You cannot go down that road. It's a dangerous one to go down when you speak about ill will towards like her race, or is she black enough, or is she this enough, or she's not competent enough, and she's a prosecutor, my dude. So get ready for that debate. That's all I'm gonna tell you. You're flip flopping all over the place. Ain't gonna work. If you want to get Harris, get her on the fact that she hadn't done that much on the border. Get her on the fact that she keeps changing her stance on certain things. Get her on the things that there's a whole bunch of word garbage stuff that she'd said over the past 4 years that you could get her on. But when you go into different things that don't make sense, that's where you're going to alienate those voters that you really need. And the independent voters are who you need because they're kind of flip-flopping all over the place right now. I kind of have an idea where I'm going to vote, but you still need to get to my side and get me to be enticed to vote for you. And I'm not even feeling that. And your boy, JD Vance, ain't doing diddly squat to help your case because he is like, I don't even know what to say. I guess he's going to go by the military stance if I was in the military, but so was Waltz. But I digress. Y'all need to do better on that side, man. But I'm just waiting for the debate because then that might shut everybody up and then make everybody decide. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. Before I go to Mike, I don't know if you guys saw that on Truth Social, Donald Trump, he posted something saying there would be 3 debates, and the first debate will be September 4th on Fox News. The second debate would be September 10th on ABC News. And then the third debate will be September 25th. And I believe that was
NBC.
NBC. Now, when I looked into it further, none of this is real. He's just posting that, and there's no legitimacy. It's not been agreed upon. And as it stands, there's only one debate right now with them, and I think it's August 10th. I'm sorry, September 10th.
September 10th, yeah.
Yeah.
What he did was he threw in those extra 2 debates as fillers because what he wants to do, he wants to have basically first dibs with the Fox News debate. Because remember, originally what he said was, okay, I'm not doing the September 10th debate. We can redo it on Fox News with a live crowd, blah, 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 this and that. He's just throwing out fillers is all he's doing. It's not going to happen. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if he, for a second time, backs out the September 10th debate. He might do it if he
Wow.
don't lose weight.
Wow. That's great. I mean, I thought it would be great because if you think about it, the whole month could have debates because the 4th would be Kamala and him, the 10th would be them again, and then the week after that would be the vice presidents, and then on the 25th you have the last debate between Kamala and Trump. I thought that'd be a great idea.
So is the vice presidential debate confirmed?
I mean, they have to have one. They have
Yeah,
to.
because in that same speech, you remember he said they were negotiating something with CBS for a vice presidential debate.
And that would make a lot of sense.
Right, yeah. But I mean, again, he could be lying about all of it.
Oh yeah, of course. All right, Mike. What do you think about the polling numbers that we saw here with Trump and the whole AI controversy that he's trying to say that Kamala has a fake crowd?
I don't trust anything he says. If he says AI is a fake crowd, he's only saying it because his team hasn't perfected how to use it yet. I don't understand what my twin is talking about, saying that he lost it. You can't lose what you never had. He never had sense. He's been a one-trick pony from jump. And that one trick is divisive comments. That's it. He'll say anything to get his side pumped and to get the other side angry, because both of those things play into him moving forward and his base being energized. He'll say anything, do anything. He's Kyle Rittenhouse with a higher ceiling of funds needed to be bought. It's the only difference. Rittenhouse will buy. He'll be bought for a couple thousand. Trump needs a billion with some things on some side things on the side. That's it. There, I don't. I know y'all say focus groups are this thing, and I don't want to hate on MD because he said I was right about something, so I'm gonna let it slide. But I don't believe yo. You matter of fact, I'll put it a better way. I'm really good at okay. Yeah, this picture is disgusting. I just looked at the screen. That picture is disgusting. Moving along. That disgusts me. You know
Hey,
how?
speaking of AI,
Yeah, I keep telling y'all, AI is it's the most despicable and terrifying thing of our lives. Our generation is we're screwed. But you know how growing up, whenever somebody get in a bad relationship or the relationship was over and they'd be like, man, I'm done. I'm done. I'm never dating again. Women are crazy or dudes are sick. These dudes out here are all hoes. I ain't mess with them. You guys know that, right? When people do that,
oh yes.
that's the exact same thing they do in the focus groups. They get their minds with, oh, never vote for so and so. I'm I get to be on TV and I'm saying it. Yeah, I can't stand them. I can't. And then they go in the booth, just like those people. Whenever a fine girl shows up, or dude in
Fact.
a Maserati, a dude in a, what you said?
I said facts.
Exactly. Or a
Facts.
dude in a Maserati show up. They ought to be, ooh, someone's so fine. Damn, girl, you looking like that? How you fitting them jeans? Soon as they hit the booth, all that goes out the window. I don't believe anybody when it comes to polls or focus groups or anything. Everybody is lying. They just say what they think they're supposed to say when people are looking. It's the same thing when you ask soccer moms, hey, how do you feel about black guys? Oh, black guys, they're just like everybody else. And everything. Let a black guy walk near their car. Click, 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 click. Oh, oh, the Negro looked at me. It's the same thing. I don't believe any of them. Everybody says what it needs to be said to look good in public. When the ish hit the fan, they gonna do what they do, and that's stick with the team. And the team is red, and it's not, and it don't look nothing like Kamala Harris. I'm just saying.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that one, sir. All right. So we are at the point of the show where it's time to get into session. It's time for us to contemplate the lame duck of the week. And I mean, we should just rebrand the lame duck title to a certain person's name because they're just always there. Seems like.
He's the
So
Bible. He's the
yeah,
Bible. We all know the Bible's the greatest selling book of all time, but you gotta let other people get some burn. So they just say it's up there. We know it's up there, but sometimes you got to be like, hey, the Bible a mug.
I can't. Well, it's that time, folks. Lame duck session.
First things first, in this lame duck session.
For the United Nations General Assembly to share the extraordinary progress we've made. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough.
I started having second thoughts almost the moment I sat down on the plane.
Lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready?
We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
So I changed my return flight and flew back on the first available flight I could take.
I'm sick and tired of smart guys. I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced. I'm tired of being quiet. I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
With great power comes great responsibility.
These lights are so bright in my eyes that I can't see too many people out there. But I can only see the black ones. I can't see any white ones. You see? That's how far I've come. That's how far I've come. That's a long way, isn't it? These eyes. You want to see a bird graveyard? You just go. Take a look. A bird graveyard? Go under a windmill someday. You'll see more birds than you've ever seen ever in your life.
So Donald Trump is now threatening to sue the New York Times. At issue, they're reporting on this answer to a question at his press conference yesterday about this man, former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, a former mentor to Vice President Kamala Harris and someone she dated in the mid-90s.
I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was, he was a little concerned.
So the Times today reported there are just a few things wrong with this story. One, they say Willie Brown was not on the helicopter, and two, it did not almost crash. It was this guy, then California Governor Jerry Brown, who was on the helicopter, says the Times, which also reports that the former president was on that helicopter flight with the governor to inspect wildfire damage. Then Governor-elect Gavin Newsom, who was also on board, told the Times that there was no emergency landing. And Newsom said if anyone was talking about the helicopter crashing, it was Donald Trump. Well, late today, Trump called a Times reporter, claimed to have flight records to verify his story, and shouted that he was, quote, probably going to sue. Now, when asked, however, to produce the flight records, he instead repeated the question back in what the Times' Maggie Haberman describes as a sing-song voice. Mockingly is how she describes it. So, more to come on this. Shortly before airtime, I spoke with Willie Brown. Mayor Brown, thank you so much for being with us this evening. Just to clear things up, have you ever been in a helicopter that made an emergency landing with Donald Trump?
No.
Have you ever been in a helicopter with Donald Trump?
No.
He is apparently tonight getting angry about all of this, calling the New York Times and berating them for their story on this, claiming, he says, we have the flight records of the helicopter, and apparently said the helicopter landed in a field. You have no memory of anything like that ever happening?
No.
What could he possibly be thinking about?
I have no idea.
One of the things the New York Times suggested is that there was a helicopter trip he took in 2018 with former Governor Jerry Brown and Governor-elect Gavin Newsom. So, Governor Jerry Brown, how often do you get confused with Jerry Brown?
Not too often. We've known each other for many, many years, simply because I was the only person that endorsed his candidacy when he first ran for governor back in the 70s. I then ultimately endorsed his candidacy again in the early 2000s when he ran for governor after being the mayor of Oakland. But I have never traveled anywhere with Jerry Brown or even the good man that's running for the Republican nomination in any kind of a helicopter.
Another thing that Donald Trump said at this news conference was that you had said derogatory things about Vice President Kamala Harris to him in conversation. Have you ever had a conversation like that with Donald Trump?
No, I have not, nor anybody else.
It sounds like, at least according to you, this entire story, including the helicopter, the near emergency landing, and the conversation about now Vice President Kamala Harris, it just never happened.
Never happened, period. And I think my memory is probably better than his.
He also, in this news conference, criticized the now vice president for her work as a district attorney and an attorney general in California, saying she ruined San Francisco. What do you say to those accusations?
Obviously, he does not know anything about San Francisco, certainly not to the extent that he would say that a district attorney or an attorney general could ruin San Francisco. We are a very lovely city. And then when he references the person who is now the vice president, you've got to know that she served California extremely well. She defeated an incumbent district attorney in this city because the people loved her and she performed very well. She ran for the attorney general when Jerry Brown left that job, and she won it against an incumbent district attorney in Los Angeles County who had been there for a long time. And he was another white guy. She's beaten two white guys. And then, of course, she got the job of the U.S. Senator from California. And at all times, she has been applauded, just as she is currently being applauded by people in this nation.
So obviously, you are, or over the last several decades, have been a key ally to Kamala Harris, especially in the early stages of her career. You had a personal relationship with her about 30 years ago. This is something that is brought up repeatedly in the right-wing media. Why do you think they're so focused on it? What implication do you think they are making, and how do you respond to it?
I just assume that, as usual, the right-wing media is always trying to generate something negative about people, particularly people that look like Willie Brown and that have a color close to Willie Brown. I frankly think that the motivation has more to do with who the two parties are than almost anything else in the world.
Former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
All right. All right. There he goes. There he goes. Put the spotlight on number 51, Trash Bag Human of the Week, Donald J. Jackass Trump. Here we go. Ricardo, what do you think about Donald J. Trump, lame duck, number 51?
All right. Well, congratulations to you, Mr. Trump. You're number 51 lame duck of the week. I mean, you have been the most nominated person in TFP history, and I'm sure you're going to continue that streak going forward. Color me surprised, or not surprised. I find it fascinating that Trump would use anything at his disposal. He would say anything through his teeth to make everything sound believable. Now, whether or not I believe Mr. Brown, that's all another story. He's trying to save face is what I think is happening here, because you don't want to be on the wrong side of history. Everyone will tell you that. If you're on the wrong side of history, it will look back terribly on you. But I believe when he says, I had no conversation, I did not converse with this man who was about to be elected, the Republic, like, notice he's not even saying names. He literally said that man that is in the forefront of the Republican Party, or the woman that is vice president. This man is not playing. Like, he's literally not saying nobody's names. Smart, very strategically smart on his part. But Trump really do that. You almost, what did he say? He almost was in the helicopter was about to crash with him, or made an emergency landing with him and Brown. And sir, and you said you're going to produce these flight records. Where are the flight records? Because clearly you have them somewhere in delusional world in your brain somewhere in the alternative universe that you have. Look, it's beginning to sound and look very senile to me at this point. And if he continue, I don't know why the Democrats don't take this and run with it. Just paint him as an old geezer fart of a senile person. Just run with it. Just make him look old and disapparent and just nonsensical. Any word you can think of, just run with it, because everything that he's saying doesn't have a backup. Like, where's the proof? You can't write an essay without a proof, or it's going to become plagiarized. You can't take pictures of something without sourcing a source. You can't then say the sky is purple and then change your stance and say, oh no, it's pink. It because I said so. That doesn't work. And like I said, all the nonsense that he's been using since 2016 does not relate to now. We've moved so far ahead in the progression of 4 years that it's not gonna work this time around. I think he's using the same rehash nonsense that I think is gonna fly, but people get very bored quick, and it's like the boy that cry wolf. How many times are you gonna cry wolf before everybody go, all right, this time he cried wolf, I'm not gonna come and help you to aid him at all. It's how it feels right now. So it's just I don't even know if I should laugh or cry or just continue watching the train wreck that this is becoming, or no, I take that back. I still have my popcorn well buttered, and I just need to add some hot spices on it, and I'll be good to go, because this popcorn needs to be well heated for me sitting back and relaxing and watching everything in pay-per-view format, because this is what it's looking like. It's really, really sad just to see him grasping at straws just to get attention. But how much time do you have left before it runs out on you, Mr. Trump? You're just becoming to look like a just lying, disillusioned, babbling moron, and that's just all I have to say. But congratulations to you being lame duck 51 jackass lame duck moron of the week. And
All right, thanks, Ricardo.
And I met with the president of the Virgin Islands. These are people that are incredible people. They've suffered gravely.
And of course, the president of the Virgin Islands would have been him at the time because he was president, but whatever. All right, so Mike, what do you think about the trash bag human of the week, Donald Jackass Trump?
I can honestly say this is the first time I've kind of been afraid that I might be wrong watching that video. That was scary. To double down on foolishness that can be easily shown to be not true. He might be out of there, bro. His mind might be gone, but that'll just make the MAGA crowd love him more. That'll just make them say, it's all right. On those days he's doing great, he'll still be our president. Because the problem is, my brother, my twin, he thinks this is about Donald Trump. He thinks this is about, no, and MD thinks this is about policy. And you think, Van Cat, that this is about what's right and wrong. But it's not. It's about WS doing whatever it takes to hold on to power. That's all it is. That's it. They don't see an easy way to do it with Kamala. It was easier to do it with Obama. And she's part and parcel with that crowd, but it's much easier to do with Trump than Kamala. That's why he's gonna win. That's it. He is the lame duck of the week because he is a moron. But what you forgot to say is he is their moron, and people ride with their idiot. So when you say, my twin says, "Hey, you can only cry wolf so many times." Not if the wolf's a part of the game. The wolf will show up whenever it needs to be showing up. The wolf will show up. Oh, there it is. Or he'll have a guy out there with the wolf head put on a stick. Oh, look, it's the wolf. It'll happen. Don't worry about it. You guys don't have imaginations. That's the problem. You guys can't imagine, hey, you know what? We have the best police, we have the best protection in the country, but let's just act like they don't realize that there's a place over there that someone could sit on, lay down, and shoot from. We'll just act like they don't see it over there. It's right there. It's where they would pick to shoot from, but we're going to act like it doesn't happen. Because when you're making up the rules and you're making up the game, do whatever you want. Smart people will act stupid. Stupid people will act smart. Straight people will act like they don't have other men in the room with their clothes off. Vance. It is what it is. But hey, you did pick correctly because he is definitely the lame duck of our lifetimes. I promise you, he is the Bible when it comes to book sales. No one will ever beat him. And I say this: we all thought Moronicism died with W when he did his second term. I guarantee you, they have somebody lined up who's less idiotic but just as dumb as Trump to jump in next. I don't know if it's Rubio. I don't know if it's that Indian guy that gave the speech a couple years ago. I don't know who it is, but they got somebody lined up to be moronic. Probably DeSantis. Dude, I'm telling you, Trump's gonna win. But hey, he is definitely the lame duck of our generation.
God bless you. God bless Israel. God bless the Palestinians. And God bless the United States. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Wow, he can't even pronounce the United States? What is he, Schwarzenegger?
All right. Thank you, Mike, for that one. MD, what are your thoughts here on the trash bag human of the week, number 55, DJT?
Yeah, so it's important to note that, Trump has all these sometimes even consecutive lame ducks, you know what I'm saying? He's reaching flair levels when it comes to his title. But how can we not?
Oh, that was funny.
How can we not put emphasis and put some respect on the name of Willie Brown? How do we not do that? Hell, he might have to have more of a spotlight here from a positive note than Trump. That was one of the most funniest interviews that I've ever seen. That was funny as hell.
100%
He
right,
did not
sir.
name one name. He just said from the former president.
No.
Or the president. He didn't say one person's name.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad that the interviewer didn't just keep asking him yes or no questions, so he could have just said no through the whole thing. I was dying laughing.
He said the right likes to throw controversy on people that look like Willie Brown. He talked in the third person, y'all.
In the third person?
Yes, you did the whole
It don't Hey, that was funny. But yeah, so again, I think this is what I think, right? Trump, when he misspeaks or falsely disseminates disinformation, I think he runs with it from a correlation aspect. I don't think he meant to say Willie Brown. I don't think that he did. He misspoke. But he's doubling down based on the fact that it's a talking point of his opponent. He does that a lot. Like a lot. Hell, probably every speech he do it. You know what I'm saying? He'll either misspeak or throw out something that's clearly false and catches himself and then reroutes the whole speech or the conversation based off him misspeaking. He do it all the time. He did it last night. So, could it be something cognitively going on? Possibly. Is it some type of mental, I guess you would say, degradation?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, hell, he old at the end of the day. But do I think that he catches himself and then disseminates disinformation? Because it ain't misinformation, because he know he lying. Do I think he disseminates disinformation off of it? Hell yeah. And I it's to a point, because what is everybody talking about? Especially on the cesspool of Twitter. You don't see a post a day saying something. Kamala slept her way to the top. Look, she messing with old ass Willie Brown. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Trump knows this stuff. He see it. Anybody that think he don't see it, they're not intellectually analyzing who Trump is.
Yeah, but MD, who cares though? Who? So say she did sleep with Willie Brown.
MAGA maniacs care.
Thank you.
Yeah, but didn't Donald Trump slept his way through multitudes of women as well? I mean, even at the time when
that don't count.
That does not count in the slightest. MD, please tell Ricardo that this ain't got nothing to do with sense.
I mean that there may be an underlining issue of misogyny. I ain't gonna deny that. But do I think it's minuscule? Yeah, it's minuscule because the MAGA maniac mind can override, you know what I'm saying, certain ideological differences. They can do that.
But they have
because it's the MAGA maniac.
They don't have no damn stuff in their warped world though. Because if you're gonna complain about so she slept with Montel Jordan, she slept with Willie, she slept with who cares? Like y'all
No, Montel Williams, not Montel Jordan.
And
Montel Jordan is This Is How We Do It.
You gonna get Montel in trouble. He married.
Right, so it's Williams, but I mean, some of these MAGA maniacs have slept with their sisters and brothers and whatnot. I should put out the disclaimers out there.
All day.
I mean, y'all done worse. Y'all slept with pigs and horses and God knows what. And this is the biggest issue for y'all. Y'all need to sit down because, I mean, no one gives a damn who she slept with. That's just the least bit of our problems right now. But they need a distraction, right? So I guess that's what it is. But I'm mad he didn't even call her name. He was just like the vice president and the man that's currently running for president. And he's just refusing to say names. And I'm like, I might have to take a page out of his book because that was one of the smoothest ways of being interviewed I've ever seen anybody go through, and not once name drop. That is incredible.
Right, and that's why, like, you know, like I'll say my stuff about Kamala and not being black. You know, I may agree with some sentiments of that, but at the end of the day, when you mess with a dude named Willie, I got to give you a black card on that. I just got to do it.
Willie, the blackest name since Draymond.
I got to do it.
And it's Willie, man. What's Willie Brown?
Willie Brown. Willie Brown.
It don't hell. His name might as well. I bet his brother named Leroy.
Straight out of Harlem, 1970s.
You feel me? He probably was in what you call it? What's that movie I said was the best one?
Last Dragon.
No, he was in Harlem Nights. He was probably in Harlem Nights. Willie Brown.
But that's all I got, Van Cat.
Oh, I was trying to shut up. My bad.
You're good.
All right, thanks, MD, on that. So let's go up. So pretty much we're at the end of the show. So we'll get into our final sign off. As far as Trump, it's just a never-ending bunch of nonsense.
This is not fear. I should not be put to them indignancies.
Oh my God, I love you, Van Cat.
Yeah, man. Donald Trump is a trip, man. This guy don't know nobody. He don't know anything when it gets hot.
No, you're saying it backwards. He don't know nobody, but he knows everybody.
Well, there you go.
Yes,
there
sir.
you go. There you go. All right, so we should start doing the final sign off. So let's start with Ricardo. Ricardo, what's your final sign off for the evening?
Yeah, just a lot going on, and you know, this world is changing on an ever-changing basis. There's so much, like right now, that I can't even get into. This the imminent attack from Iran coming up soon. You have this whole issue of you know, the Europeans, their dysfunctionality, especially in Great Britain. The election, of course. The debate that I'm looking forward to, because everything else is nonsensical at this point. Everything is just fodder until that debate happens, and then we could talk about how terrible either are. I mean, it's changing, so I look forward to it. Again, I've said this. I have my popcorn ready. I might have to get a couple of stuff, You damn swingers that are out there, stop swinging, damn it. I'm gonna need y'all to make up your mind. There ain't no damn pineapples and fruits and SpongeBob the SquarePants and all that crap that you need to. I need y'all to figure out who you're gonna vote for and vote. There's too much swinging from one swing to the next swing and swinging here, there, and everywhere. I'm gonna need y'all to figure out where you're gonna swing for and swing to that direction.
I got my pineapple trunks ready.
You damn swingers, get yourselves together and act accordingly and vote, damn it. I don't want to hear y'all swinging for but then again, it's better than shaking your booty for votes. But I digress.
Hello.
But swinging for Harris or swinging for Trump, I don't care what y'all swing for. Make that pineapple make the choice for y'all and do it accordingly and get this damn thing wrapped up so that we don't have a long drawn out process come November the 15th. We need to hear who is the actual winner on the 14th and it's end of discussion. 270 votes, 272, it don't matter. That person wins, that's it. I don't want to hear we're going to do a recall and all that crap. This is not 2000s. We ain't going back to that era.
Oh, Trump is going to do the recounts.
I could have told you that.
We don't got time for no recounts. We just need the results to come in, and that's it. This ain't no Jeb Bush. Was it Jeb Bush that was Florida governor at the time?
Yep.
We don't need that. We don't need an Al Gore to feel some type of way to then now being on the world is ending because of climate change. We don't need that. We need a decisive indication of what's going to happen, and that's that. I tip my hats to all y'all on the panel. We're a superb group, and I look forward to next week to see what we could discuss and go have y'all some. Let me stop. Let me get off.
You the man, twin.
All right. Oh, I just want to say real quick, Trevor mentioned in the chat, well, not in the chat, in the group chat, about Man Talk Monday is going to be a bi-weekly show again. I guess there was a point where it went back to weekly. That lasted for about 30 seconds, and then it went...
Not yet. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
We'll talk about that another time. We'll make that announcement later. We'll talk about that later.
Okay. All right, Mike, so you go ahead and do your final sign-off, sir.
I would like to first and foremost apologize to everyone for being the dumbest person on the show. I try my best. I would like to tell everyone that it doesn't matter what you believe. It's all coming to an end. I am the fatalist of the show, so I'm sticking to my guns. Trump's going to win, and it's going to go to hell. Even if he doesn't win, which I'm not saying he's not, it's going to be 3 to 4 months of recalls and stole the election, and let's all get together. I heard somebody talk about a secret page in Project 2025 that, like, if he doesn't win, they about to riot or something. So, hey, get your Second Amendment polished up. We got a couple months. I think you got to wait for 3 days in America. If you know, you know. Mike is right, and I'm out.
I didn't know Manafort well. He wasn't with the campaign long. I don't know Papadopoulos. I don't know him. I saw him sitting in one picture at a table with me. That's the only thing I know about him. I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. I know nothing about QAnon.
I just told you.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact. I don't know him very well. I have not spoken to him much. This is not a man I know well. Seems like a nice guy, though.
What? I have no idea what this is.
All right. So now we'll go to MD. MD final sign off. Oh, but before MD goes to his final sign off, I just want to play the little intro or ad to promote MD's channel. It was something I've been dabbling in for months, actually. So we'll catch it on the other end here.
MD20. Peace. What's going on? What's happening? MD's Thought Box. What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody had a wonderful day. Wonderful day. I hope you was able to spend time with family and friends. I'm going to ask you the last question. Who are you?
What you mean? Who am I?
To whom in which I'm speaking with right now.
You gonna turn around and tell that man
Red alert. All hands stand.
Now you want to play victim. You know what you done.
I'm no victim. I ain't no victim at all.
No,
I know everything I said. I take.
I know you're
I have
not
no
no victim.
choice.
Warning. Nigga babble detected.
No, you're not no victim because you
System
done
overload.
what you done. You used that man's channel to get at me.
System overload.
We gone.
That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
But to any event, peace. What's up? Can everybody hear me out there in YouTube land? Can everybody hear me? You know what I'm saying? Because we still gonna get it in. We still gonna get it in for today's topic. We definitely gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody give me a green light. You know what I'm saying? As you can see, I'm in the thought box. You know what I'm saying? Now I will say, as always, man, the doors of the church for MD's Thought Box Live is open.
MD 20. All right. All right. Now we can go to MD for his final sign off.
Oh man, that warmed my heart, man. Go ahead, Mike.
Van Cat gonna definitely do my funeral.
That was amazing. That was amazing. But yeah, great show as always, man. Pertinent topic. Again, it's important to understand the correlation from a political standpoint where we are today in 2024. As the Bible says, nothing new under the sun. You can go back in history and see the tension and see where to go from there. And then, I think that's the most important part about it. And I think we can learn a lesson from 1968. I think we are learning a lesson from 1968. I don't, even though there's bad actors, there's always going to be bad actors. But at the end of the day, if we can position ourselves correctly, we should be okay. You know what I'm saying? In any event, again, glad you did that, Van Cat. Thought Box Live is back. This coming up Thursday. Finally, we're doing the topic, the truth about Black conservatives. We going in. We're gonna start from the beginning, and we're gonna take it all the way to present time. And I'm gonna pose the question. A lot of us say, hell, even I say it sometimes. Black people are, quote unquote, historically conservative. Is that true? Where did we get that from? What type of conservatism are we talking about? Because I would pose the question then, where does that conservatism stand when it comes to civil rights? We're gonna talk about all that on Thursday. And next Monday, G&G will be back, God and Government, serve the center with my host Jeremy Dunbar and Apex, man. And I appreciate everything that you do, Van Cat. That was tremendous. Tremendous. I need to step my game up with my editing, as well. You know what I'm saying?
Especially the nigga babble. That part had me dying.
Yeah.
The nigga babble of all nigga babbles.
Nigga babble detected. Nigga.
Yeah, and we on high alert for the nigga babble. We on high alert. I would say we at DEFCON 2 when it comes to the nigga babble. So and we're gonna talk about that as it pertains to Black conservatives. So yeah, man, be on the lookout, man. Check me out, and I'll see y'all next week. TFP.
Hey, a lot of people don't know this, but I have Van Cat signed to Teddy Pendergrass contract where I'm Harold Melvin. So please support him so I can get rich.
And there you have
it. Well, we know that Donald Trump this weekend, I guess they found out that he's been using some words to describe Kamala. And here at TFP, we got exclusive footage of him saying those words. Like to see it. Here you go.
The last thing my mother told me before she passed away. Oliver, never you pick up a ignorant woman. because those types always hold you back in life.
That
And
looked
there we
just
go.
like Trump. That was Trump.
That's Black Trump.
You feel me? Bro, Van Cat, more Oliver. Come give me a hug, bro. Come on. Come on.
I love my Sam Wells.
Oliver is one of the two people who have contributed most to my comedic stylings. Him and Martin Lawrence. Good Lord. Oh, that just warmed my heart. I'm about to go watch some shows right now.
That joke is forever great.
One more thing, real quick, Van Cat. One more thing.
Yep.
ProPublica. Everybody go to YouTube when they get a chance. Go to ProPublica. They're a political verifying site, right? They just released last week the whole Project 2025 Training Academy library. If there is no more excuses, if you still sitting around saying that you don't understand what Project 2025 is, go to ProPublica's YouTube channel right now. Over 14 hours of training video directly from the Heritage Foundation explaining what Project 2025 is. I don't want to hear, oh, I ain't reading that 900. Well, you ain't got to read it no more. They got everything that you need to know right there on YouTube. Go check it out.
Damn.
Man, my eyes, I had to put so all the stuff that was saying, some of the stuff is diabolical.
I believe it. I believe it.
Sir.
That is pure evil, sir. Pure evil.
I guess MD Mike went out.
Oh, am I not talking?
Yeah,
Oh,
can you hear me?
Oh, there you go, MD.
That is pure
Yeah, you're Borgin.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah. So I'll just do my final sign off now. So I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in today. Of course, the most dangerous political panel on all of YouTube. You got Mike, Ricardo, MD. Of course, Jeremy wasn't here, but peace out to Jeremy. Like to say thank you to Tequila, of course, as always. Peace to Bones, Zay. Say a shout out to Mr. Straight Talk, Trevor. Everyone else that was participating in the chat, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another show. And again, well, Mike doesn't want me to go into this, but you know, Man Talk Monday, I guess it's bi-weekly, or well, they'll figure it out. But we'll be here every week on TFP, just taking a look at all the ducks and putting them in a row. For everyone here at Straight Talk Society, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Until then, peace.
Peace. Holla at your guala.
She just said a terrible thing. You know what she said? Shout it out, because I don't want to. Okay, you're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's. That's terrible. Terrible.